This was about one gun form that he signed in October of 2018 when he said that he was not addicted to drugs, and he was convicted of lying to a store clerk and then possessing a gun illegally for 11 days, having been addicted to drugs. It's notable that special counsel David Weiss, who brought all of these charges against Hunter Biden, was not even in the courtroom when the verdict was read, and neither was the First Lady. The First Lady, Jill Biden, rushed into the courthouse a few moments after, and the reason I'm highlighting that is to give you an idea of how fast this happened.
The jury just got the case yesterday, deliberating for about 3 hours in all. After leaving the courthouse, Hunter Biden released a written statement saying he's disappointed in the outcome but grateful for the support of family and friends. In a separate written statement, President Biden says he accepts the outcome and reiterates love and support for his son, adding he'll continue to respect the judicial process as an appeal is considered. It's the first time a sitting president's child has been convicted of a crime. There's no sentencing date yet. House Republicans could take a step today toward a full House vote on holding the U.S. Attorney General in contempt.
These resolutions are not about Merrick Garland. They are about politics.
Massachusetts Democratic Congressman Jim McGovern, as the Rules Committee debates Garland's refusal to release audio of a special counsel's interview with President Biden in a classified documents probe. Republicans say Garland is hindering oversight. America is listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Is your timeshare suffocating you? Are you feeling powerless because you were sold a bad investment that is nothing like you were promised? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. If you're ready to get rid of that timeshare, I'll send you our Timeshare Exit Information Kit free, exposing the timeshare industry scams with all your options for cancellation.
Call 800-653-1188. 800-653-1188. 800-653-1188.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
What about when life spells fried chicken?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Fourth cup of coffee?
Still R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Extra cheesy pizza?
Rolaids always spells relief. Rolaids' powerful dual-active formula begins neutralizing acid on contact to fight your heartburn fast. So, when life spells heartburn, Rolaids spells relief. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Lots of sunshine, just a beautiful afternoon. Low humidity, comfortable temperatures, 82 for the high. That's a touch below average. We are now getting into the longest days of the year. Some are officially beginning on the 20th. Clear skies tonight, mid to upper 70s for evening plans. 62 for the low. Wednesday sunny and 90. Thursday sunny and up to 95. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call 6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-699-1059.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-699-1059. That's 800-699-1059.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Zero Res has the best deal of the summer for you right now. 3 rooms clean starting at $129 and take $50 off your air duct cleaning package. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
Start your summer road trip at Midas and get up to $30 off your next repair service. Plus, get a free closer look vehicle check to make sure you're road trip ready. So if you need a brake service, an alignment check, or tune-up, hit up Midas for up to $30 off. For more details, request your appointment at Midas.com.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome to the Annie Fry Show. Thank you for being with us here this afternoon. A lot of interesting news coming down in this morning. Things have been progressing in the Hunter Biden trial so fast that the First Lady didn't even make it into the courtroom on time. This is what was just
Hunter
announced.
Biden has been found guilty on all counts in his gun trial, federal trial in Wilmington, Delaware.
So that was the breaking news of earlier today. And we are waiting on the special counsel to comment. And we're going to bring that to you so that you can hear what it is that they have to say about this case. Guilty on all counts. So we have 2 convicted felons now. One of them is running for the president, and it is not Hunter Biden. Where does that leave you? Does it matter? I think a lot of people have varying thoughts on this. People commenting right now on our YouTube as we're moving through the poll question today, which is, if you were Joe Biden, would you pardon, commute, offer clemency to Hunter Biden? Yes or no? I think that you have to, it's almost like you have to take the names out of that equation and put in, if you were a father who had the ability to commute the sentence or pardon your son or offer them clemency, would you do it? And based on what I see right now of the results initially, it's pretty close. Okay, wait, I just went back, and it is again 50-50. That will be something that is on the table. There will be, I'm sure, an appeal process. I don't know how that goes. I am excited to have Will Scharf on in the 1 o'clock hour to hear what he has to say about this trial, but also the future of the Trump trials. So Will be with us for a couple of segments starting off in the 1 o'clock hour. We think we're connecting with Jim Carafano at 12:25. We're waiting to see. He's had a schedule shift. He's always bopping around the world, so sometimes we have to adjust. And we think we're going to be speaking with Jim Carafano in about 15 minutes. But we're going to hear what the special counsel has to say regarding this verdict. And yesterday we had Andy McCarthy on the show, and he said yesterday, he goes, I think that they're going to get a conviction here. And I thought, man, I just don't see that happening. It's very hard for me to think in Delaware that that's going to be the case. And that's what we've been told quite a bit, that they have a huge home court advantage. And Andy McCarthy got it right. Here's today.
Yeah, I think the judge in that case pretty obviously was putting his thumb on the scale. But I would say this about Judge Noreka. I think she ran a very fair in a very fair trial. That tends to favor the prosecution in a criminal case.
Interesting.
When a judge treats the case, like it's serious business, that's not the same as like giving the prosecutor every bounce of the ball. It's communicating to the jury that what we hear about is very serious because there's been an allegation that the law has been violated. That tends to have a very sobering effect on a jury. When a judge acts like the thing is kind of fun and games, that tends to be good for the defense. It's just,
that's interesting.
you know, that's just the feel that you get from a trial.
One of the most interesting things about the timeline of today is that Joe Biden is literally going to be speaking, unless for some reason this gets canceled, and it would almost be worse. The only thing worse than doing it would be not doing it at this point. But he's scheduled to speak at a gun control event like in an hour. So we will be monitoring that and bringing to you his comments. If they are to be aired, I don't know if they'll be made public. But the president now finds himself in an interesting situation. His son has been convicted, found guilty of 3 different charges. And Trey Gowdy, as Trey Gowdy is apt to do, kind of breaks down the scenario for us here.
Yeah, it's a really simple case. I mean, people who like cliffhangers would not have liked this trial. You had 3 counts. 2 were lying on an application to purchase a firearm, and 1 was possession of a firearm while you are either an unlawful user of a controlled substance or an addict. And, you know, Harris, we're not talking about Valium or lorazepam or Ativan, all of which could be legal. There are no legal users of cocaine base or crack cocaine. No one legally uses that. So this was a really easy case from a factual standpoint. If you can get past jury nullification, which the prosecutors did, if you like cliffhangers, you're not going to like this case, and you're not going to like the one coming because you either paid your taxes on time or you did not.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a lot of nuance to those facts.
So that case will start September 5th, and there are a lot of legal experts suggesting that the guilty verdict in this trial on those 3 counts may move the September 5th trial to a plea, as opposed to going through what will naturally be a very politically charged September. You want to talk about an October surprise, that September trial. I don't know how long these things go. Hunter Biden was in trial for like a week. Donald Trump, a month. I guess that when you have to try to figure out how to explain the crime you made up, it takes a little bit longer. I digress. But Joe Biden is going to have to decide what to do here. And he has said that he is not going to pardon Hunter. I could completely see him commuting the sentence or offering some sort of clemency, but diverting from the idea of an actual pardon. I said I wouldn't pardon him, but I am going to commute a sentence. He committed the crime, but I'm going to commute as his father. Whatever. And I do think all of this goes hand in hand with whether or not Joe Biden's actually going to be the person on the ticket. And I have been saying this forever, and I will continue to say this until November passes and we see his name on the ballot, but I just don't think this guy is the guy. I don't think that Joe Biden is the man who is going to be the candidate in November. The special counsel is walking up to the podium right now, and we'd like to listen into what he has to say in the wake of the Hunter Biden guilty verdict. Brad, let's go ahead and listen in.
Good afternoon. My name is David Weiss. I'm special counsel. Earlier today, Hunter Biden was convicted of 2 counts of lying on a form submitted to a federal firearms dealer about his addiction or use of crack cocaine and possessing a firearm while a user or addict. There have been 2 overarching themes emphasized by the prosecution during trial: this defendant's illegal choices and the rule of law. First, while there has been much testimony about the defendant's abuse of drugs and alcohol, ultimately this case was not just about addiction, a disease that haunts families across the United States, including Hunter Biden's family. This case was about the illegal choices defendant made while in the throes of addiction, his choice to lie on a government form when he bought a gun, and the choice to then possess that gun. it was these choices and the combination of guns and drugs that made his conduct dangerous. Second, no one in this country is above the law. Everyone must be accountable for their actions, even this defendant. However, Hunter Biden should be no more accountable than any other citizen convicted of this same conduct. The prosecution has been and will continue to be committed to this principle and to the principles of federal prosecution in carrying out its responsibilities. I want to thank the jury for their service. There are few civic responsibilities more important than jury service. 15 Delawareans came to court each day and performed their responsibilities in a professional and conscientious manner. We thank them. I want to thank Derek Hines, Leo Wise, and the entire special counsel team. I am so proud of this group of attorneys, agents, and litigation professionals. This is a difficult assignment. These folks have been working 7 days a week for the last couple months, litigating a variety of issues in district and appellate courts on two coasts. They have given their heart and soul to this work. They represent the best that public service has to offer. I am incredibly grateful. Finally, I want to thank Attorney General Garland for providing the support necessary to fulfill our mission, ensuring that we have the independence to appropriately pursue our investigations and prosecutions. As you know, we have additional trials and investigative work to be done. So I will not entertain questions at this time. Our work continues. Thank you for your consideration.
So that was the prosecution talking about the guilty verdict for Hunter Biden on all charges. And it's important to remember that there were 3 charges and 2 were lying on a government form, and one of them was possessing a gun, I think, while... What was the specificity of it? It had to do with illegally possessing a gun. The juxtaposition of Second Amendment rights and gun control policy, and the party that Hunter Biden certainly belongs to, his dad being the head of it, the Democrat Party, and their aggressive pursuit of stricter gun control. I mean, what this emphasizes to me is that there are gun control policies that are put in place that are restrictive and ineffective. And I'm having a hard time finding anybody. I know that there are a lot of people who are pounding their fists on the table, tongue in cheek, saying, do I see the right here now advocating for more gun control, stricter, firmer gun control? I don't think that that's really how this is going. What I do see is ineffective government that doesn't stop people who should not have firearms from having firearms. And the idea that Hunter Biden should or should not possess, maintain, or operate a firearm when he is a cocaine addict that uses every 20 minutes when he's on a bender, who has a long storied history of addiction, I don't hear literally anybody in my circles suggesting that we are going to be in a position here where we're going to advocate for Hunter Biden. He should really be able to flex his Second Amendment rights. That's not happening. But the argument is being presented out there as if this is some sort of win for a push for gun control policy. And that's not really it at all. The idea that people who are pro Second Amendment, the people who are out there who want to be able to exercise their Second Amendment rights, who are living and abiding in the law, they don't want the government to come in and start taking away their rights when they haven't done anything to put themselves in the gray area or in the red zone, the red flag zone, you might say, to let the government come in and limit those rights. And that's what the left does. They take guys like Hunter Biden and then they blanket remove rights from all law-abiding citizens. And going back to what Trey Gowdy said, there is nobody who is legally using cocaine. And if you were put into a position where you were asked, like, oh, so you're for gun control, right? You don't think that Hunter Biden should have had that gun? There's no conflict in saying, no, I don't think a crack addict should be operating a firearm. That's a huge difference than, like, me, who's pretty straight and narrow, my rights being infringed because Hunter Biden can't abide the law in other realms that don't even have to do with guns. You want to break the law here, you want to deceive on a federal form, and then possess a firearm. Yeah, I could see a problem with that. Let's take a quick break. I'm excited to talk to Jim Carafano here in about 5 minutes from now. I'm going to ask him about those EU elections. Brad, have you been following what's been going on?
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on it.
I don't know enough about it to explain it to people, but I know people who do.
Yes.
So Jim Carafano, I'm hoping, can come on here and say, this is what is going on, this is what's not going on. And then also, I got a heads up that from a New York Post article that the Russians are engaging in second waves of tactical nuclear drills. Excuse me? Jim Carafano, please explain this when we come back. I know he will with the Heritage Foundation. Don't go anywhere. Plus, Will Scharf to get to the bottom of all of the legal craziness going on in our world in the 1 o'clock hour. But Jim Carafano first.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Ruler Foods waiting for you to come by and do some grocery shopping. Why? So you can save money. That's why we go to Ruler Foods. We don't have to sacrifice quality on anything that we put in our shopping cart, but we do get to save some money when we check out at Ruler Foods. They have great sales all the time on their produce, fresh produce, delicious produce. And if you want to get some red or white seedless grapes, just $1.27 a pound. Raspberries or blackberries, $1.67 a pound. Those are like all of the staples of the Fry House. We love berries, a million different ways you can use them. Grapes, we go through those like crazy. Also, 73% Kroger lean ground beef sold in a 3-pound roll, just $2.99 a pound. So you're going to save when you shop at Ruler Foods, but they're also going to save you time. You want to get a delivery to your home? Guess what? Ruler Foods is now delivering everyday low prices directly to your door. To get signed up, to participate in this process, just go to rulerfoods.com. You can place your first order today or stop by the Ruler Foods closest to you. You can find the location that you're going to visit by visiting that website as well, rulerfoods.com.
Hello, Mike Carter here. I wonder if you knew that after the purchase of the Louisiana Territory in 1804, a formal three-flag ceremony was held in St. Louis to mark the transfer. The Spanish flag lowered and the French tricolor raised. That in turn was lowered the next day and the flag of the young Republic of the United States stood tall. I'm Mike Carter of Carter Law Offices here, and at that moment the people living here went from being subjects to being citizens of a great free nation. Jump ahead 220 years to what we have become and over 6 million men, women, and children now call Missouri home. Our largest cities are an economic powerhouse, and our small towns and family farms remain the heart of the nation. A friend wrote me one time at Carter Law Offices, "Hey, Mike Carter, why don't Missouri residents show their pride by flying our state flag more often like the folks in Texas?" I was like, that's a really great idea. And I was thinking, maybe anybody who's listening to this, if you want to send me an email at mike@carterlegal.com with your name and address if you're okay doing so, and I'll send you a free state flag, and you can hang it out on your front porch and show everybody you're as proud of Missouri as I am.
Is your old garage door a real clunker? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is paying cash for your clunkers now. They'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards the new insulated door. $200 for the first garage door and $100 for each additional door. Cash in your old opener, too. It's cash for clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Convenient, free in-home estimates. Schedule online at overheaddoorstlouis.com or call 314-781-5200.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. Keep the air you're paying to heat where it should be with 15% off attic insulation. For a free estimate on attic insulation, visit aircomfortservice.com.
We're here to help you get registered to vote, whether you're in Missouri or Illinois. Democracy 2024 on 97.1 FM Talk. If you need help getting registered, go to 971talk.com/vote.
Well, I got a woman way over town that's good to me. Oh, yeah.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
Oh, yeah. She give me money when I'm in need. Yeah, she's a kind of friend indeed. I got a woman way over town that's good to me.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. So the news of this morning is that Hunter Biden, in a very quick return from the jury, found guilty. He's been convicted on the fraud forms, the government forms that he filled out incorrectly, and also on the illegal possession of the gun that he was charged with. All 3 charges found guilty. So we are continuing to watch that. The president will be speaking at a gun control event soon. So we'll keep our eye on that as well. I want to get to our guest, our friend, Jim Carafano, a little bit earlier than usual on a Tuesday, but we're happy to have him, Senior Counselor to the President and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation. Jim, thank you for the time today. We're grateful to have you back.
Yeah, I don't even know what time it is or what country I'm in. So.
Yeah, I believe that. I want to ask you about, first and foremost, about what's going on with these EU elections, if you can kind of explain, because there's a lot of questions about, it's a right-wing movement and so on and so forth. What is going on in the EU right now?
Well, I think, first of all, 2 things. One is that what's going on is you are seeing definitely a significant rise of conservatism in a number of different European states. And that is a reaction to the bread and butter issues. Where are the jobs? Why aren't our borders secure? Why are we flooded with illegal aliens? What's with all this woke stuff? And it is, in a sense, pushing back on the EU agenda. It doesn't mean they're anti the European Union. It doesn't mean that they're pro-Putin. They just feel that their governments are not responding to the bread and butter issues. Now, the mixed into that, there are some, groups which have some wacky politics. So AfD, which is the German far right-wing political party, is an example. They did very well in the polls. Some of the AfD, they like Putin. They're actually getting money from Putin. There's people in the Pen's party that are getting money from Putin. Now, these are mixed in, but generally, just like every party, Republican Party, Democrat, every party has their yahoos. Definitely, there's some new yahoos on the scene, but generally, what you're seeing across Europe is a rebalancing against the kind of EU, what we would consider in the U.S. far leftist agenda, coming from the voters. Voters telling their party leaders, we want you to be working on what we think is important, not what you think is important. So that's the one story. The second story is the story. because if you read all the media, it's far right, radical right, crazy right, wacko right. Look, many of these people I know, if they were in Texas, right, they would say, "Who let the moderate in the room?" Right? I mean, many of them are what we would consider in the U.S. mainstream conservative, but literally, it's like a sine curve, and everything, on the 3/4 of the sine curve that's not uber liberal is crazy right. And so the reporting is just nuts. And and of course, different things are going on in different European countries, but this is the way I would say this. If I was trying to explain it to an American in like one sentence of what's going on in Europe, there are increasing number of people in Europe, maybe as many as half of Europeans, who have more in common with people in Texas and Florida than Americans have in common with people in California.
Oh, man, that's a very interesting way of putting it. Jim Carafano with us, of course. We're grateful to have you back on the show. I guess it's probably because it's the side I'm on. I'm certainly a conservative. I'm probably radically right compared to the same people in the eyes of the people who are writing these articles as well. But in my lifetime, it hasn't really been in vogue to be conservative. It feels a little bit counterculture right now to be conservative, maybe in the ways that I barely recall Reagan conservatives and Alex P. Keatons of the world to at least have a place in the cultural conversation. And I'm wondering if any of that is taking place right now. And you listed immigration and border control, the economy, jobs, and some woke initiatives. Those are all the key issues here in the United States as well.
Yeah, I'd love to say, hey, we're the cool kids, but I don't think it's just people wanting to be counterculture and running against the stream and wanting to be different. It's the new meaning of the word populism. When you say populist, people use that in a very derogative term as to imply stupid people who follow a charismatic leader who tells them what to do. And so you think of the classic, Nazi Germany or the Ku Klux Klan or something, right? So, and honestly, and I'm not, I'm not political. The modern Democratic Party is more that brand of populism, where it's about establishing an orthodoxy and then people are being told what to believe. Like, okay, today you believe there's 17 genders. Tomorrow you believe that Hamas are the good guys. Like modern populism, what we call populists that we're seeing in Europe and in the United States, that is not people following a popular leader, although some of these political leaders are popular. It is people saying, we want leaders who are pushing our agenda, not their agenda.
I think
that's modern populism. And it's interesting because the stuff that they don't like, when you of course, yeah, there's kind of people in there that have their own opinions, but what do they all have in common? They don't like green transition. Mm-hmm. They don't like high energy prices. They don't like attacks on popular sovereignty. They like secure borders. They don't like illegal immigration. They don't like their kids being told that they can't have, a mother and a father. And you see this across what we would call kind of the Western world. So you see it in Europe, demonstrably we've seen it in the United States. You see it in Latin America. People that have seen the kind of the way the world works and being told, no, you're wrong, and saying, no, you know what? We've actually watched you change the way the world is, and it's gotten worse. Yeah. So we'd like to go back to what we had.
I think it's comparing what we've seen in Europe versus what we're seeing here in the United States and thinking about these policies and, when you're putting it in the frame of populism, I'm thinking about open borders, increased pricing on everything, higher government dependence, and specifically here, American weakness or pacificity versus the testosterone-laden Republican ideal, as they put it, probably American dominance. I mean, these are consistent results of the alternative way of doing things than the more conservative approach, the anti-populist approach. And is there anywhere in the world right now, Jim Carafano, you would know, is there anywhere in the world right now where these types of policies are really being successful for the countries that are employing them?
You mean conservative policies?
The open board, no, the open borders
No, the
policies,
open-
inflation, everything that goes along with it.
No, there are. And actually, where you see conservative governments doing really badly, which are kind of bucking the trend, because in most places, conservative governments are actually doing pretty well. You look at the United Kingdom, and why are conservatives failing? When you look at the alternative to the political parties, which are just crazy nonsense in Labour and Liberal Party, why is the Conservative Party failing? Well, the answer is really simple. Because they didn't govern as conservatives. You can't just have, you can't just have a conservative label. You have to, in the end, deliver. This is why the conservative government in Poland was turned out. It's not because they're conservative. They're still actually probably still the most popular party in Poland, but they didn't deliver on the agenda. Same thing happened in with Bolsonaro in Brazil. In contrast, you see a guy like Milei come to power in Argentina. It's not just that he's a conservative icon, but he's actually delivering on policies, and that's what conservatives really want. It's not about conserving the past. It's not about adherence to tradition. It's not. It's about, are you actually making life better for your voters? And that's what they're voting on. And when conservatives do that, they are winning.
When you see the consistency of these progressive policies across the world, but also here in the United States, I mean, it seems as though those policies are a failure at every turn. But the consistency of the failure globally makes me think that the measuring stick I'm using to measure success is not the same one that those who are implementing the progressive policies, like what I think is a failure, they might see as a great success.
Their metric of success, and again, look, I swear to God, I don't have a dog in this fight. Their metric of success is not delivering on results for people. Their metric of success is on controlling power in institutions. Because once you control the power in the institutions, it doesn't matter if you deliver on the agenda or not, because you don't have to, because there's no alternative to you, because you don't allow one. And they would say we've been incredibly successful. We're forcing everybody to get rid of their gas stoves. It doesn't matter if getting rid of gas stoves is a good idea or not. We can force them to do that. We're forcing people to say that there are 37 genders. It doesn't matter if there are. We're forcing people to say that. We're forcing people to say Hamas are the good guys and Israel's the bad guy. It doesn't matter if Hamas is a bunch of terrorists. We're forcing people to have an opinion, and that's their metric of success.
One last question before we let you go. I saw a New York Post article that was talking about the Russians engaging in more advanced tactical nuclear drills, and those are all words that kind of pop off the page for me. I don't know how much time you need, but I don't want to take too much of it. What's going on with Russia in that advancement?
I have to be honest with you. I mean, absent other evidence, it's just more throwing spaghetti at the wall and hope something sticks and scares the enemy. Words get decided on the ground. The Russians had a major offensive. They've had very little to show for it. They've had atrocious losses. They're not going to win this war on the battlefield. And so Putin would say, what can I say or do to get people to think I'm winning and they're losing? And this is about the umpteenth time he has rolled out we can always do nuclear weapons. Like, we've heard that line 87 times before. And so absent some evidence of actual doing this, which would be a very difficult and tragic move for Russia. And every time I see these people like, oh my God, World War III. You know how you get to World War III? You act like a freaking coward. That's how you get to World War III. That's how you get to nuclear war. You let the other guy think he can get away with something. So right now, I think it's just more being Putin.
All right. Well, that's a little bit comforting, I suppose. Jim Carafano, we appreciate you. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
We'll talk to you again soon. He is the senior counselor to the president at the Heritage Foundation and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement. He knows things, he goes places, and he shares some of his time with you here on The Annie Frey Show, and we're grateful for it. All right, let's take a quick break. You know who else shares his time with us here on The Annie Frey Show? Ryan Wiggins. He'll be in here to talk to us about some social etiquette And there's nothing that I enjoy listening to more than Ryan navigating social etiquette. It's always entertaining at the minimum. Let's figure out what he has to offer us when we come back on Wiggins America on the Annie Frey Show. And on the YouTube live chat poll today, we want to know, if you were Joe Biden, would you pardon, commute, or offer clemency to Hunter? Yes or no? We'll be right back.
That's good to me. Oh, yeah.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Just for me. Oh, yeah. She says loving early in the morning. Just for me. Oh, yeah. She says loving.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan. Just a phone call, even a text message away. It's his direct line. It's Stewie's phone number. I have had many conversations with Stewie about whatever is going on in the economy. I ask him questions, and this is the number I call when I talk to him. And I get to give it to you so you can talk to him about your mortgage, whether it's a new mortgage that you're getting or a refinance to lower the rate, maybe. Maybe you need to do some cash out on your home. The values of your homes have gone up. You've got some cash there. You want to tap it. You give them a call or a text, 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440. The reason why you need Stewie and the Bagel Loan is because the Bagel Loan comes with zero closing costs. This can save you thousands of dollars when you go through to get that mortgage. When you use the Bagel Loan, you don't pay closing costs. They don't get tucked into the loan or mortgaged over the course of your 30 years, 15 years, 10 years, whatever. They don't exist. He takes care of them for you. If you want all the details on how it works, or if you're just looking to get a mortgage and you want the best deal possible for you, Stewie's your guy. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
Mark Cox here. My friends at Whiskey Dickerson are hard at work cranking out a brand new line of t-shirts, hoodies, and hats with hard-working, self-reliant patriots like you in mind. Whether you're the subtle and tasteful type or you'd rather push the First Amendment to the limits, Whiskey Dickerson has just the shirt for you. Right now, get 20% off by entering promo code 971 at checkout. Whiskey Dickerson is giving a voice to the silent majority. So if you like your coffee strong and your tea in the harbor, go to whiskeydickerson.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Mike Carter here. Too often we lose sight of how fortunate we are to live in Missouri. When I travel out of state on business, people say, Mike Carter, what's so special about Missouri? Well, let's start with the mighty Mississippi and Missouri rivers traversing the state. They were the superhighways of the day, used by French fur trappers and traders. Later, American settlers like Daniel Boone and waves of pioneers drove their teams and wagons along the Boonslick Trail he blazed. Carter Law Offices, right now, founded by me, Mike Carter, started and is on Boonslick Trail, near where those intrepid settlers crossed the Missouri to harness the land. Rich soils and generations of farm families like my own grandparents made Missouri the breadbasket of America. Drive a few minutes outside our cities and towns, and you'll find yourself passing miles and miles of undulating wheat and corn, farms and ranches that feed our nation. I'm Mike Carter, and I'm proud to live and work in the Show Me State, a place God blessed just a little bit more. Go to MikeCarter.com to see more about our great state of Missouri.
If you're looking for all the comforts of home plus some in a senior living community, check out Hampton Manor of Wentzville, just off the Lake St. Louis exit at Highway 70. They'll even treat you to lunch. Set up your appointment today and tell them Mark Cox sent you. WentzvilleAssistedLiving.com.
On its surface, this seems like a straightforward question, but the more you think about it, the harder it gets. It's the YouTube live chat poll of the day. If you were Joe Biden, would you pardon/commute Hunter's sentence? Let us know. It's a yes or no. So let us know and type in Annie Fry into YouTube, and the YouTube live chat poll will come up. It is 12:45. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
It's what's happening
To do what I can on my own to address the border.
right now,
What he signed means nothing.
keeping you informed.
Agents are directed to release migrants from all countries in the Eastern Hemisphere except for 6 countries.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
In constant sorrow all through his day.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
I've seen trouble all my day.
Wiggins!
Oh, Wiggins!
That song was being sung by Hunter Biden.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bottle of moonshine, trying to figure it out. Being sent up the river. These are social situations that, amazingly, I have not figured out what's right and wrong.
You don't know?
No. And most of them, I'm like, I just don't know. It's why I'm bringing them to you.
You just panic?
I haven't been in all these situations. I've been in one.
Okay.
But most of them are just things that could pop up that you need to know ahead of time. How would you deal with it?
All right.
The first one involves a woman and her brother who were boarding a plane. A couple of these are about a plane, actually. And she was approached by a flight attendant and told that a spot in first class had become available. She said she had the most status of anybody on the plane, so they were willing to move her up for free. The woman happily accepted the upgrade and took it in a heartbeat. Told her brother, see you in 12 hours. So it was a very long flight. Needless to say, she says, I had a nice flight. Her brother, however, was very upset that she did not give him the upgrade instead, as he is much taller and could have used the extra legroom to be more comfortable.
Sure, he could have bought a ticket.
In fact, her entire family agrees that the brother should have gotten the upgrade, that she should have sacrificed and given the brother the upgrade.
No.
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 Okay.
I think the only question here is, does she take it or not?
Yeah.
He's not entitled to it. She was literally entitled to it because of her status.
Exactly.
He would have been, should she not have been offered that seat, he wouldn't have been able to whine and moan about his terrible lot in life. Where was it? Were they flying?
I don't know. I just know it was like an international flight, so it was really long.
Oh. Boo-hoo.
About 12 hours. But hey, if
you're tall and you can't sit in a what do you call where the plebes sit? I'm on
Coach,
Southwest.
economy?
I call it Southwest.
Yeah. Everyone.
Yeah. What is it, coach? Yeah. If you got a problem with sitting in coach, buy yourself out of coach. That seat was apparently available, so it was available for him to purchase.
Does it change?
He chose not to purchase it. She got awarded it.
I actually agree, but does it change if she was just randomly selected? So she hadn't earned the spot, but she just randomly got picked.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you could make the argument for that, but if she earned it, that's the situation. But again, I feel like, I mean, it'd be a total D move for her to be like, well, you're taller, and him to be like, see ya. And
That's what I thought
that's
too.
That's totally ridiculous.
Yeah, and like, where's the chivalry here? That he's the
How's
guy.
their brother and sister? There is none.
No,
that doesn't count.
I still
Does
think
not apply.
I still think I give my sister the seat. Like,
I do
don't,
too.
I don't complain,
I do too.
but yeah, I let my sister have the seat, and I give her a hard time about it, but never serious.
Yeah, a really hard time.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of serious.
Get off the plane limping. Oh, it's like, oh, my leg hurts.
Mhm,
I
yeah.
sat back here. Remember, I did that for you.
Yeah, I'd be like, no, you didn't. That's the seat that you bought.
Next one, some Gen Z respondents need help from their parents during a job interview, according to a new survey. 31% of those respondents had a parent accompany them to an in-person interview, and 29% had them join a virtual interview. Couple ways to approach this. One, as a parent, would you ever do this?
Hell no.
Okay.
The only way that I'm participating in any of this is if my child is of non-driving age, and I've already looked into work permits. My kids are not old enough yet, but the second they are, if somebody will have them, I'll drive them. You go get the job or not. If you can't sit and have an interview, if somebody's hiring somebody who's super young, you know they're super young. The people who are of age, for the jobs that I'm talking about are not like super wowing people when they go in to apply for a cash register job because they don't know how. You know how you learn? You go do it. Maybe you blow it. From what I understand, there's another job out there that you can go get.
Mm-hmm. What about from the hiring perspective? Is this like an automatic no because
Yes.
it's too weird?
I mean, unless the person literally needs a ride, I can't. I mean,
Even then, you could stay in the car. You don't have to come in.
yeah, I could see you staying in the car. If it's a situation where maybe you've got to go into a building and navigate your way through like a really big building to find a location, I could see. And again, I'm talking about sub 16.
Sure.
So that's
Yeah.
a very small percentage of people. But it says Gen Z, so these are young people.
Right.
I think my son is technically Gen Z, so I think he would qualify. But I would maybe help them, but I would, if it were me in that situation and I needed to get him there and help him find the place, I would help him find the place, and then I would go wander around or go in the bathroom and tell him to get a hold of me somehow or another when he was done, and I'd meet him somewhere. But I would not want to be seen, because I would think that if you were going to be seen at the interview, why would you not be seen or part of the equation if you hire that person? And I'm not hiring the family. I'm hiring somebody to run a cash register or to stock shelves or to scoop ice cream or something.
Exactly. And what it indicates to me, if I'm the hiring manager, is that you're not really capable of even coming in here and just because this is probably not a tough interview. We're not going to grill you on your past experience. What clubs are you in high school and all these things? It's probably just are you capable? I want to make sure that you can talk to people if you're running a cash register. If you can't do that, you're saying you can't do this job.
But at the same time, from what I understand, it's hard to find good help. I could also see a scenario if a parent were involved in getting the kid there, then I would think that the parent being involved would probably be a good sign that the parent was a participant in the kid's life. It would all depend on what interaction the parent had with me as the hiring manager. Like, I can't imagine if the parent came to sit in the lobby and just wait for the kid to come out, that wouldn't necessarily be an elimination of sitting in on a Zoom call. Bye-bye.
Yeah, exactly.
And click, hang up. Because if you have parents who are engaged and involved in the kid's life, and again, talking about kids who couldn't physically get themselves legally to the job interview, that would make me think if the parent was willing to get them here now, that they would be interested in the kid following through on the obligations and responsibilities of the job. Like, the parents care about this. That would be a plus in my mind to the kid's commitment to doing the job. But that's like, there's a very definitive barrier of providing the access to get them there and then backing off.
And you said it, if the parent's sitting in the lobby, great. If he's coming in for the interview or she's coming in for the interview, it's a little different, especially if they're participating heavily in the interview. Next one, a TikToker has gone viral with a post complaining that she's very single because men are terrified that she's so pretty and smart.
That's definitely why she's single.
The fashion stylist living in Texas claimed that people are surprised by the current state of her dating life because she's so pretty, but her looks have actually ruined her chances at romance.
So she's too pretty?
Yeah, I actually didn't know which way to. I didn't know if I should ask Annie about this first or Brad.
Well, how did you deal with it?
You know what I did? Here's the honest truth. I wasn't too pretty. I wasn't too big for my britches. But
my grandpa's favorite phrase.
This is not going to surprise you at all. That in high school, when I just first started getting interested in girls, whenever that would have been, and all the way through probably after college when I was dating, the prettiest girl in the room, I'd be like, well, that's who I'm going after.
And you married her, which is amazing.
That's exactly right. That's where this was going.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's why I didn't know whether to ask Brad first or Annie here.
You go with Brad now.
Well, the thing about it is like, have you guys seen A Beautiful Mind? When the pretty girl walks into the room?
But that was about a brain.
But the pretty girl walks in the room and Russell Crowe's character says, no, you don't go for the pretty girl. You go for all of her entourage. And that way everybody gets a date. And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And then I met my wife. And then I was like, that doesn't make any sense at all. That's dumb. I'm going for the pretty girl.
Did he do that right?
I don't I've never seen the movie.
I'm not worried about the movie. I think I followed him around there.
I don't think that this girl. I don't believe anybody who says anything on TikTok. I don't believe anybody who goes on if you have really thick skin and really interested in being a successful influencer on TikTok, you go say something obnoxious like this.
Yeah.
And engagement is engagement.
Yeah.
Stupid cart lady.
Oh, she's been all over the place after that. Have you noticed?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my
Cha-ching.
gosh, yeah.
That's what she wanted.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
I would be interested for someone to follow her and see if she actually does what she says she does. She probably puts her card back every
Yeah,
time.
she's probably one of the nicest
She's
people.
probably just
you
fine.
know what would really get people stirred up is if I said that I didn't do this.
If you go on to TikTok and you're like, people don't like me because I'm just too pretty.
Yeah.
Are people going to be like, you know what? If you're not too pretty, they didn't even click on the video to hear what you have to say. They swiped.
Mm-hmm.
So then they've listened. Now you've offended people with your narcissism, and everybody likes to bring a narcissist down. Click, 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 click.
Well, I asked her out.
TikTok girl?
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's just what I do. I literally in 9th grade, I was like, you know who I'm going to ask out is Jackie. Jackie was like the prettiest girl in the whole school, and she was the same grade as me. And they're like, don't do that, you idiot. She's dating a senior who's on the football team. I'm like, yeah, but I'm me.
Yeah, but she hasn't met me yet.
And of course I did.
Did you get a date with Jackie?
No, I didn't get a date with Jackie.
What did Jackie say?
I think she laughed.
Oh.
But I just kept asking.
Babe Ruth, never let the fear of striking out keep you from swinging for the fences.
See, Brad? Thank you.
And you hit the home run.
I did. Thank you for bringing it back around.
Of course. Let's talk to Will Scharf when we come back here in the 1 o'clock hour about Hunter Biden guilty and everything Trump trials coming up.
Say hello to Lumi, the whole body deodorant developed with your whole body in mind. Pits, privates, and beyond. It's outrageously effective and clinically proven to block odor all day, anywhere you have body odor and wish you didn't, and keeps controlling odor up to 72 hours. Lumi is different. Developed by an OBGYN, Lumi goes beyond masking odor to control body odor in a way certain other deodorants and soap don't. Start controlling body odor everywhere, not just armpits. Experience whole body freshness from Lumi Whole Body Deodorant today. Go to LumiDeodorant.com to be the best smelling you of all time. There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 203 and get 15% off your first purchase with code 203. Like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 203 for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 203 to save 15% today. LumeDeodorant.com.
Let's talk about Air Comfort Service and how they can help you with the duct work in your home. Air Comfort Service, they're great at helping you with your HVAC system, of course, but there's something more to that than just the actual air conditioning unit at your home. You need to make sure that the air that you're paying to cool, if your AC is working exactly the way it's supposed to, when it's being pushed through your house, if it's outside and you've got air going into the basement, the main floor, maybe you have a 2-story home and you need to get the cool air up to the top, hot air rises, you got to work a little extra hard to get it up there. If the ductwork in your home doesn't have a good seal, all of that cool air seeps out of that ductwork before the air gets to where it's supposed to be. That's why you reach out to Air Comfort Service and ask them about an AeroSeal duct sealing. I've had one at my house, and it dramatically changed the way we cool our home because the air is dispersed equally. Get in your comfort zone with Air Comfort Service. It's easy to reach out to them, find out all the deals they have going on at aircomfortservice.com.
Hello, Mike Carter here. I wonder if you knew that after the purchase of the Louisiana Territory in 1804, a formal 3-flag ceremony was held in St. Louis to mark the transfer. The Spanish flag lowered and the French tricolor raised. That in turn was lowered the next day and the flag of the young Republic of the United States stood tall. I'm Mike Carter of Carter Law Offices here, and at that moment the people living here went from being subjects to being citizens of a great free nation. Jump ahead 220 years to what we have become, and over 6 million men, women, and children now call Missouri home. Our largest cities are an economic powerhouse, and our small towns and family farms remain the heart of the nation. A friend wrote me one time at Carter Law Offices, "Hey Mike Carter, why don't Missouri residents show their pride by flying our state flag more often like the folks in Texas?" I was like, that's a really great idea. And I was thinking, maybe anybody who's listening to this, if you want to send me an email at mike@carterlegal.com with your name and address if you're okay doing so, and I'll send you a free state flag, and you can hang it out on your front porch and show everybody you're as proud of Missouri as I am.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is a Fox News alert. The president's son is convicted. I'm Lisa Brady.
Ultimately, this case was not just about addiction, a disease that haunts families across the United States, including Hunter Biden's family.
Special counsel David Weiss speaking a short time ago after a federal jury in Delaware found Hunter Biden guilty of 3 felonies for lying about drug use when he bought a gun in 2018.
This case was about the illegal choices defendant made while in the throes of addiction, his choice to lie on a government form when he bought a gun, and the choice to then possess that gun. It was these choices and the combination of guns and drugs that made his conduct dangerous.
Weiss says no one is above the law. Inside the courtroom, there was no emotion from Hunter Biden when the verdict was read. He left the courthouse holding the First Lady's hand and later offered a written statement, thankful for the support of family and friends, but disappointed with the outcome. One of the jurors, number 10, telling Fox News they just focused on the evidence.
Was not politically motivated, if you want to know that. Politics played no part in this whatsoever.
That juror also calls the case heart-wrenching. We're just getting word President Biden will head to Wilmington after a previously scheduled event on gun violence. He released a written statement earlier saying he loves and supports his son and accepts the outcome of the case, while also alluding to the possibility of an appeal. The Trump campaign calls the Hunter Biden trial a distraction from what they call the real crimes of the Biden family, accusing them of making millions of dollars from China, Russia, and Ukraine. The Biden campaign has been emphasizing the former president's felony convictions in New York, which he plans to appeal. Sources telling Fox News the prosecutor in that case has agreed to testify to a House panel next month. America is listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Is your timeshare suffocating you? Are you feeling powerless because you were sold a bad investment that is nothing like you were promised? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. If you're ready to get rid of that timeshare, I'll send you our Timeshare Exit Information Kit free, exposing the timeshare industry scams with all your options for cancellation.
Call 800-653-1188. 800-653-1188. 800-653-1188.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? ROLAIDS.
What about when life spells fried chicken?
ROLAIDS.
Fourth cup of coffee?
Still ROLAIDS.
Extra cheesy pizza?
Rolaids always spells relief. Rolaids' powerful dual-active formula begins neutralizing acid on contact to fight your heartburn fast. So, when life spells heartburn, Rolaids spells relief. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Lots of sunshine, just a beautiful afternoon. Low humidity, comfortable temperatures, 82 for the high. That's a touch below average. We are now getting into the longest days of the year. Some are officially beginning on the 20th. Clear skies tonight, mid to upper 70s for evening plans. 62 for the low. Wednesday sunny and 90. Thursday sunny and up to 95. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's. Save $40 on select 5-gallon HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams paint, like Weather Shield, Showcase, or ceiling paint. Plus, save $10 on drywall PVA primer and get free same-day delivery to the job site when you order by 2 p.m. Lowe's knows paint. Lowe's knows pros. Offers valid through 6/14. Delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Our goal at NeoVitan is to make supporting your nutrition as easy as possible. That's why we created the NeoVitan monthly subscription. Just go to neovitan.com, choose your multivitamin, sign up, and we will do the rest. You'll receive your NeoVitan multivitamin every month with no long-term obligation. You can pause or cancel at any time, and shipping is free. Each NeoVitan multivitamin includes our physician-formulated proprietary blend for nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Start supporting your nutrition the easy way with NeoVitan multivitamins. Sign up for a NeoVitan subscription today at neovitan.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at lancedrurylaw.com or call us toll-free at 888-367-6512.
It's what's happening
To do what I can on my own to address the border.
right now,
What he signed means nothing.
keeping you informed.
Agents are directed to release migrants from all countries in the Eastern Hemisphere except for 6 countries.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk. The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
You know, I may be a little person, but I'm a big picture guy. And the big picture here is Hunter is taking it for the team. This is his punishment, his amends for his misdeeds. The goal is to keep the heat off Joe, the influence peddling, the kickbacks to the big guy. It's a small sacrifice for Hunter to make, to take the fall, which is what you do in crime families where the misdeeds are far bigger and more lucrative. So what he's doing is he's deflecting it onto him.
Well, there's some accusations from Greg Gutfeld, and I assume that was yesterday before the verdict came down today quite rapidly. Hunter Biden guilty on the 3 charges that he was facing in that Delaware court. So we do what we always try to do here, to get an expert on to talk about these things, and our friend Will Scharf is back to speak with us. He is a former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri. He is a candidate for Missouri Attorney General. He's also working with the Trump team. Will, welcome back to the show. It's good to have you.
Great to be with you, Annie. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you being here, and I've got several questions here, or comments, I might add, from the chat as we've been going through the day, and I know that you can handle it, so I'm going to pepper you with some of these. But Hunter Biden found guilty on these charges. Is this lawfare?
No, it's not lawfare at all. What was sort of reverse lawfare was what they tried to do last year, where they gave Hunter Biden this total sweetheart plea deal where he was going to plead guilty or take a pretrial diversion on these gun charges. And in return, he was going to get total immunity for everything relating to his foreign influence peddling operation, Burisma and Bohai, Ukraine, China. I mean, millions and millions of dollars. That's the corruption of the Biden DOJ. And that was the deal that Hunter was willing to take. He was going to plead guilty to a couple minor tax charges, accept responsibility for these gun charges, and in return, he was going to get to walk. Fortunately, Judge Nareka, this judge in Delaware, blew that deal up, and it essentially painted Hunter into a corner where he couldn't accept a plea agreement because it would have imperiled him in the future and imperiled his family. So we ended up with this trial. But I mean, slapping Hunter on the wrist for these gun charges, I mean, he obviously committed these crimes. He obviously should have been convicted, but it's hiding the ball. I mean, the real story to me is still the fact that the Biden family monetized the office of the vice president, monetized Joe Biden's position to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, all coming in from foreign countries, from foreign actors. I mean, this is the greatest political corruption scandal in American history. And I hope the American people aren't distracted by this conviction. The conviction's a good thing, but it's the start of the story, not the end of the story.
So I want to drill down a little bit on what you were highlighting there, that the suggestion that lawfare might play a part in this. It's not just this week-long trial that ends in an obvious guilty verdict for Hunter Biden. It would have been quite something for there to be an exoneration in this situation. And there wasn't. He was found guilty. Compliments to the judge from you and many other legal experts that I've heard talking about it. But can you kind of drill down for me what the plea deal? Where did the plea deal come from? Who gave Hunter Biden that initial sweetheart deal? And was it the Biden Justice Department that said, here's how you're going to get my son off the hook? And then was it the same people who said, no, I guess I just don't know that we can do that? Or did somebody pull the rug out from underneath a lawfare plan?
No, so basically what happened here, David Weiss, who's now the special counsel, was previously just acting as U.S. attorney under full supervision of the Department of Justice, of Merrick Garland, of the Biden DOJ. While he was under that supervision, he offered this insane plea agreement, which in return for 2 misdemeanor pleas on tax charges and a pretrial diversion agreement on these gun charges, Hunter was going to get absolute immunity from prosecution for everything else. That deal blew up. Weiss was then appointed special counsel, which is a different status, gives him much broader authority. And it was only then that we saw these charges brought with at least some degree of aggressiveness, both here in Delaware on the gun charges and in California on these tax charges, where Hunter's now also facing federal felony prosecution. But it was that break when Weiss was removed from the supervision of DOJ that we saw even an inkling of a real prosecution here.
So, speaking to Weiss specifically, what would it have been like to be him in this scenario where you were talking about the different positions that he was in? I mean, what's it like to be a prosecutor in that situation?
Well, I've obviously never been a special counsel. I mean, this gun case is a very straightforward, simple case. Hunter admitted that he was crack addicted at the time he bought this gun. He admitted that in his autobiography. He then recorded that autobiography in his own voice as an audiobook, where, again, he speaks at long length about how during the time period in question, he was smoking crack every 15 minutes. So the truth of these allegations was never in question, and I'm glad this conviction resulted. But again, I mean, Weiss has broad authority to continue to prosecute Hunter and potentially the rest of the Biden family as well. And the proof will be in the pudding. Does it end with this gun charge, maybe with these tax charges as well? Or does Weiss push further and really get in under the hood of the entire Biden family corruption scheme?
That's an interesting question. You brought up the autobiography. There's a lot of evidence that's just floating out there in, as you mentioned, the audio version of his book in his own voice, his own words in his own voice. But I think another very interesting portion of this particular trial has been the laptop and the testimony and the evidence that has surrounded that. What is your view on the impact of the laptop as part of this particular trial or any other ripple effect it might have elsewhere?
Yeah, look, in 2020, when the laptop first came out, the New York Post was the first publication to publish on it. There was this mad rush to discredit it. Joe Biden denied that it was a real thing. You had all of these top intelligence officials, Clapper and all of them, saying that it was clearly Russian disinformation. Now we have Biden's own Department of Justice using it as evidence in federal court, which just goes to show the lengths that the media, that the deep state were willing to go to cover up for Joe Biden in the lead up to the 2020 election. Molly Hemingway, in her book Rigged, writes extensively about this insane cover-up scheme when I think everybody knew from the start that the laptop was real, that its contents were damning, and probably most importantly, that its contents directly implicate not just Hunter, but Joe Biden as well.
I think that's the key point here. And it's shockingly not shocking that in this trial, the laptop was used as evidence and that we had these, was it 51 high profile people who we should be able to, in theory, trust when they suggest this is Russian disinformation. That's why they put their names together on a piece of paper because they thought that would carry some weight. It's, I guess, just kind of accepted now that the laptop is real. And if this were a new revelation in this trial, I think that it would have made a bigger splash in the news. But I think that it's so widely understood and accepted that my question is, did those individuals who signed that paper really believe it was Russian disinformation? Or was their intent specifically to deceive to benefit a political candidate for president?
I think the only thing they cared about was Joe Biden winning the election. And they knew that if the laptop were widely reported on in the lead up to the 2020 election, Joe would have lost. The polling bears that out pretty conclusively. So they did what Democrats always do. They lined up like lemmings to support their preferred political candidate, the truth be damned. And that should outrage Americans of all political stripes. When we have government agencies, government officials that we just simply can't trust anymore, that view themselves as political actors as opposed to civil servants, that's a very damning indictment of where we are as a country right now. I would encourage all of your listeners, Marco Polo, group run by Garrett Ziegler, who's a friend of mine, has published the contents of the laptop in a very readable form. If you want to know more about what Hunter and Joe and Jim Biden were actually doing, you've got to read the contents of this laptop. In addition to all the drug use and the prostitutes and all the other Hunter stuff, the actual financial transactions are fascinating, and every American should know about them because it has to inform your opinion of who Joe Biden is as a person. He is venal, he is corrupt, he has been his whole career. When he was vice president, they speedily went around his family members and monetized that office, cutting deals with China, cutting deals in Ukraine, cutting deals all over the world, stashing money in offshore bank accounts. I mean, the details are just absolutely damning. And the fact that Biden has defended Hunter for as long as he has, to me, speaks to the fact that Joe is not just sympathetic to his son as a father, but is deeply worried that if Hunter were to ever turn on him, the house of cards would come collapsing down.
And when you referred earlier to this guilty verdict and everything to be hiding the ball, is this the ball that we're talking about?
I think the ball is the Biden family's foreign influence peddling operation, which I've said before, I think is the greatest political scandal in American history. I mean, when the founders talked about the dangers of a strong central government, one of their deepest fears was that people at senior levels of the new federal government would sell out to foreign powers. And that's exactly what we saw from Joe Biden, particularly with respect to China, where Hunter and Jim were getting millions, tens of millions of dollars from CEFC, from Chinese Communist Party officials through this sort of shell private equity fund. They never did any work for that money. There were never any deals. It was just a straight payoff. Joe Biden was compromised by the Chinese government, was bribed, I believe, by the Chinese Communist government through Hunter Biden. I think the contents of Hunter's laptop lay that out very clearly. You know, Joe used to say back in 2020, he said, I never talked about business with my son. Then the story shifted to, I've never been in business with my son. The story keeps shifting. The real story is that Joe knew exactly what was going on. He knew what Hunter was up to, and what Hunter was up to was selling Joe Biden's influence to foreign powers, which is just, again, it's the greatest political corruption scandal in American history.
Will Scharf speaking with us right now. Before we get to a break, on the other side of this break, Will's going to stick with us, and we're going to shift a little bit into Trump legal challenges that he's facing. This guilty verdict today, we know on September 5th, they're supposed to begin trial on the tax charges that he is facing for not paying his taxes. Maybe that changes a bit, too, for Hunter Biden, how he chooses to approach that case. But we've got the laptop. It's evidence as identified by the government. You've got the guilty verdicts. You're talking about the ball that they're hiding right now, which is the greatest American scandal in American history. Are we any closer as a country to getting to the bottom of all of these things that you're alleging? Will the American people find out?
I think if this tax case goes to trial, Hunter's not close to being held accountable. I mean, being prosecuted for, misstating his taxes, failing to pay taxes, barely scratches the surface. But the underlying details in that case do start approaching what we're talking about here. The fact that he was getting millions of dollars in from offshore entities, that he failed to disclose that. There's a lot that could come out in that case that I think would begin to inform the American public. But again, the mainstream media is unwilling to report on any of this. They still, in some sense, have internalized the idea that the information in the laptop, that the information from whistleblowers is somehow politically concocted, when in actuality, it's just the truth. This is stuff that everybody knew. Joe Biden clearly knew what his son was doing. And the details in texts, in emails on that laptop prove what the scheme was, prove that this was, in fact, an influence peddling operation. And the one fact that I think really came through from this gun trial, which directly bears on this entire conversation, is that Hunter was not compos mentis. Hunter was not, a high-functioning crack addict. He was an incredibly poor-functioning crack addict. The idea that he was providing meaningful business services to any of these foreign partners during the time period in question when he was, according to his own admission, smoking crack on an hourly basis every single day, going on these long benders, disappearing. I mean, it just goes to show that these folks knew exactly what they were paying him for. And what they were paying him for was influence with and access to Joe Biden.
Finally, on the Hunter question, you're saying that a lot of these details could be revealed in that trial for the tax charges. That leads me to believe there's no way that this goes to trial in September.
I think they may try to delay that trial until after the election. They may also try to structure some sort of plea agreement to keep a lot of those details from coming to public light. I believe that the day after the November election, Joe Biden will pardon Hunter and pardon his brother Jim to ensure that they're not in the sort of legal jeopardy that could lead them to flipping on him. I think Jim Biden in particular, Joe Biden's brother, is an underreported actor in all of these cases. He's been involved with a mafia-connected healthcare scam. I mean, that guy has a lot of dirt on him and has carried a lot of water for Joe Biden over the years. Hunter as well is obviously in the same boat. So one way or the other, I expect that, the Bidens will end up sticking together here and that Joe will end up doing what he needs to do to prevent his own criminality from coming to light.
Will it involve a pardon for himself?
Self-pardon is an issue that the Supreme Court has never dealt with. They've never ruled on the constitutionality of a president pardoning himself, but Joe could certainly try. I think if he thinks he's facing real legal jeopardy on leaving office, that's definitely something that I think he would try. And he would couch it in terms of he and his family are being unfairly oppressed and all that. It's absolute garbage. Joe Biden is where he is now because of decisions that he made and because of decisions that his family made. He profited to the tune of millions of dollars over the years from these deals that Hunter was entering into. And I believe he should be held accountable.
Well, speaking of presidential self-pardons, let's hold on for just a minute and talk to Will Scharf on the other end of this break about Donald Trump, because this November election is upon us and there's a ton at stake. And we're going to ask him about the legal challenges that President Donald Trump faces as well. Will, hold on just a minute. We'll be right back with you. You've been listening to Will Scharf, who is a former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri. He is a Trump attorney, and he is also candidate for Missouri Attorney General. Will Scharf with us on Trump when we come back. Don't go away.
Can't help but stare, 'cause I got the best seat. Just when I thought it couldn't get any hotter, you slid on in, said I'm a little hot and bothered, if you know what I mean. Let's crank it up to 100 degrees. All right.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Shot me like a bullet, burn me up and down, no way to cool it. Every time you kiss me, it's like sunshine and whiskey.
Window World, they know what you need. They know that you have replacement windows in your future, but that you've been putting it off for a while. It's an investment. Of course, it's an investment, but it's a good investment in your home. And it's going to work towards the efficiency of your home. Of course, it's going to add to the beauty of your home. And when you decide to engage in this process and you're thinking about cost and your ability to do the job fully the way you need to, Window World's there to ease the pain of that process. And in fact, make it enjoyable. When you call them at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800, you can talk to them about how they are now offering, and this is for the first time, 36 months same as cash financing with approved credit. So working with Window World, they're going to make it as easy as possible. 36 months, 3 years, same as cash. That makes the process a lot more bearable. You get your windows replaced. No more broken, cracked, leaky windows in your home. You get a beautiful replacement window that comes with a lifetime warranty covering all parts, glass breakage, and labor for a great low cost. Window World is simply the best for less, and you need to reach out to them and tell them Annie sent you. 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800, windowworld.com.
Tip for everybody that, especially this summer, if you haven't had your air conditioner checked, if you're getting into a space where you're changing the filter and it's very hot, meaning like you have to go up in the attic or side area on your house, and if you just slide a filter out and then slide another filter in, and that's how you change your filters, try this. Put duct tape where you put your filter in that unconditioned space in the attic. If that's what you're doing, you're just going up and you're sliding in there. It's sucking a lot of hot air into your system. It's actually making your air conditioner not able to cool. If you have any questions about what I'm talking about, call me, Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600, or on the internet, that's bartinman.com. It's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Mike Carter here. Too often we lose sight of how fortunate we are to live in Missouri. When I travel out of state on business, people say, Mike Carter, what's so special about Missouri? Well, let's start with the mighty Mississippi and Missouri rivers traversing the state. They were the superhighways of the day used by French fur trappers and traders. Later, American settlers like Daniel Boone and waves of pioneers drove their teams and wagons along the Boone's Lick Trail he blazed. Carter Law Offices right now, founded by me, Mike Carter, started and is on Boone's Lick Trail near where those intrepid settlers crossed the Missouri to harness the land. Rich soils and generations of farm families like my own grandparents made Missouri the breadbasket of America. Drive a few minutes outside our cities and towns, and you'll find yourself passing miles and miles of undulating wheat and corn, farms and ranches that feed our nation. I'm Mike Carter, and I'm proud to live and work in the Show Me State, a place God blessed just a little bit more. Go to MikeCarter.com to see more about our great state of Missouri.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility in this election year? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 38 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. Is yours? Did you know that there's an R value associated with insulation? To find out your R value or for free insulation estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Tuesday afternoon, General Keith Kellogg will join us. His reaction to the IDF rescue from the weekend and also the administration calling for Hamas to agree to the ceasefire.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
This is The Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
We have responsibility, Carrie. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient resources.
That is not a question of how they had. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
So Nancy Pelosi, from inside a car on January 6th, you hear her say there, she's going, what's going on? Where's the National Guard? And then she says, I take responsibility. Well, I want to start our next segment here with Will Scharf off with that sound because there's a lot of sensationalism that's being injected into this tape, but it is pretty wild to hear Nancy Pelosi asking these questions, knowing that Donald Trump did make available the National Guard. Will Scharf, welcome back on with us. Does this clip of Nancy Pelosi mean anything to you in your relationship with Donald Trump and the court cases that he's under regarding January 6th?
Yeah, the left has peddled this narrative. They've peddled this narrative since January 6th, that President Trump did January 6th, that he's responsible solely. They set up this fake committee, the January 6th committee, to push out this heavily produced account of what happened. And it's just totally false. The fact of the matter is that President Trump offered to have 10,000 National Guardsmen on hand. He offered to help secure the Capitol. His offers were rebuffed.
Who did he offer those to?
What?
What's the process there? Because people dispute that. If you're saying Trump offered all of those National Guardsmen, who did he make that offer to and who said no?
It would have been the folks in charge of Capitol security, ultimately ending in terms of their chain of command with Speaker Pelosi. So this is the false narrative. You know, I was in the Capitol the day that Brett Kavanaugh was confirmed to the U.S. Supreme Court, and there were thousands and thousands and thousands of fired up protesters outside. There were some protesters in the gallery who were arrested and taken away. That building was surrounded by a ring of steel that day. There was no conceivable way anybody from that crowd outside was getting inside without proper credentials, was making it past the security lines. It was a ring of steel. You look at the pictures from January 6th, and it's a couple Capitol policemen with bike racks. This is not how the Capitol is usually secured when there's evidence that there may be a major disturbance. And I think those are the questions that the American people deserve answers to. But instead, what we've gotten is this absolute cover-up. A cover-up on anything approaching accountability for the lack of security at the Capitol that day. And again, President Trump made bona fide offers to have National Guardsmen, to have additional federal law enforcement, to have the security they needed around that building that day, and he was rebuffed. And I think you have to ask the question of why. But I think certainly this tape of Nancy Pelosi admitting on the day of that there was more that she could have and should have done to secure the Capitol that day, it definitely challenges the mainstream leftist narrative of what happened on January 6th and who is ultimately responsible and accountable.
You know, it seems from where I sit, which is just an observational place, I don't have any expertise in this, but I pay a lot of attention to it. And the idea that Donald Trump incited an insurrection is pivotal and central to what the Democrats have made this entire election about. And the idea that Donald Trump would be ineligible to be a candidate for office once again, it seemed that it was most important to make him unelectable again in any ways that they or any means necessary. knowing what we hear here from Nancy Pelosi and understanding how Capitol Hill works and everything, what do you wish the American people really understood that maybe they've been misinformed or disinformed about that day on January 6th?
I would encourage every American, and particularly your listeners, to go back and listen to the entirety of President Trump's speech on the ellipse on January 6th. Don't listen to selective cuts or edits. His speech was a great speech. And he talked a lot about election fraud. He talked a lot about the policy challenges facing America in the future. And then he called on people to peacefully and patriotically protest and nothing more. If you listen to the speech in its entirety, President Trump did absolutely nothing wrong. Instead, what we've gotten for years is selectively edited clips of that speech that make it seem like President Trump was doing something or calling for something that he just wasn't. And they've attempted to shift culpability for what any number of people did or didn't do onto President Trump's shoulders solely. And that's just wrong. That's why we had this insane effort to disqualify him from the ballot. That's a large part of, I believe, why we're dealing with this prosecution in Washington, D.C. It's this false leftist narrative that's taken hold over what President Trump did on January 6th, when in actuality, the speech he gave there was nothing wrong with it. It was totally conventional political rhetoric, heated perhaps, but he did nothing more than to call for people to peacefully and patriotically protest, as is their God-given right protected by the U.S. Constitution. So again, with respect to January 6th, I firmly believe that President Trump did nothing wrong. And I think that as more facts come to light in the coming years, that picture is going to become clearer and clearer.
We're speaking with Will Scharf. He is a former federal prosecutor of the Eastern District of Missouri, a Trump attorney, and also candidate for Missouri Attorney General. I want to stay here on the January 6th case before we get to the Alvin Bragg Manhattan case. I want to ask you about some of the appeal situation involved in that one in a minute. But I think I recall, I don't know if it was you or another legal expert I had on there saying that maybe the January 6th one could possibly see some light of day before the election takes place. And I know we're waiting on Supreme Court rulings. Where's the status right now for the pending trials outside of the one where he has now been found guilty on 34 counts? What is the status of those other trials leading up to the election?
So I'll deal with the two easy ones first. Georgia is going nowhere quickly because the Georgia courts of appeals are now considering our move to have Fani Willis disqualified off of that case. So that trial is not scheduled. It's unlikely to move anytime soon. We likely won't have an opinion on the disqualification issue itself until perhaps late this year or early next year. If Fani Willis is disqualified, I think that case is on life support. I definitely don't think it's going to trial. Florida is in a similar boat, that Judge Cannon in Florida is investigating issues, very serious issues of prosecutorial misconduct relating to witness intimidation, evidentiary custody issues. In the meantime, she's vacated the trial date there, has not rescheduled it. There are numerous issues that need to be resolved before that case gets close to trial, if it even makes it to trial at all. So again, it's not going to be electorally relevant. Lastly, we have D.C. D.C. is absolutely stayed. All proceedings are stayed pending resolution by the U.S. Supreme Court of our presidential immunity appeal, which we could see a judgment on as early as this week, this Thursday or Friday, or 2 opinion days for the court. Assuming we win anything there, and I think that we will, the chances of that case making it to trial before the election are essentially zero. Even if we were to have an absolute loss, the earliest they could bring the case to trial would be right at the end of October. And I don't think even Judge Chutkan in D.C. will do that. So in terms of the campaign of lawfare against President Trump, this scheme to force him through criminal trial after criminal trial after criminal trial at the height of the election season, we've largely won, with the exception of New York. And the New York trial it was absolutely insane. The legal theory was, full of holes. Their unconstitutionality suffuses that case. We look forward to getting it up on appeal, where I believe that we will win. In the meantime, though, it's deeply shameful, I believe, that President Trump was forced to sit through that sham of a trial instead of being allowed to go out and campaign for office, as is his First Amendment right.
I want to read a couple comments here from listeners, and it's on the appeal process of that trial. Vicky said, Annie, can you ask Will the grounds Trump has to appeal? And she's trying to kind of help out Edward, who was talking about the appeals. And Edward replied, Will's a lawyer. He's just going to give a vague answer like, quote, what grounds won't we appeal? So you can choose Edward's quote there, or maybe be more specific on what grounds that Donald Trump has to appeal and potentially win on appeal in that Alvin Bragg Manhattan case.
So, I mean, I'm not trying to be vague. I will get specific. There are literally dozens of grounds to appeal this case. Reversible error is present in almost every decision made by the judge during this case. A couple things that I would note in particular: the jury unanimity issue, the fact that the jury did not have to be unanimous on the alleged unlawful means that underlay this sort of election conspiracy scheme. That's a major due process violation. There are evidentiary issues that we would want to appeal, particularly the exclusion of evidence from Brad Smith and Robert Costello, two defense witnesses, one of whom we ended up calling anyway, one of whom we didn't, allowing in evidence from Stormy Daniels and David Pecker and other witnesses that was just wildly prejudicial and not at all probative. The fact that we weren't on proper notice of what the actual prosecution theory was until really closing arguments is reversible. The fact that Judge Merchan didn't recuse from the case when he clearly should have, that's under the 14th Amendment, that's a due process issue. Under the Supreme Court's precedent in Caperton v. Massey, that's something that we would want to challenge as well. I can go on in this vein for a while longer if you want me to, Annie.
I was just going to say, Vicky and Edward, to name a few. He's doing so.
This is, I mean, this case is an appellate lawyer's dream. We will get it overturned on appeal. The problem is that the damage is already done, that President Trump has been forced to sit through this show trial for the better part of 2 months. And the Biden administration gets what they wanted all along, which is the talking point that they get to say that President Trump's a convicted felon, even though I think the American people see through this. I think there's a reason that President Trump smashed political fundraising records in the immediate aftermath of the trial, why his poll numbers are climbing and not falling in the aftermath of the trial. I think the American people see this sham conviction for what it was, and I think they're responding by supporting President Trump even more than they did before.
Yeah, you know, Will, I just keep thinking to myself that when a defendant is found guilty, you should think to yourself, like, I'm glad that that person will not be able to do that to the people that were hurt any longer. And then I have to think that if Donald Trump were to commit the crime that they found him guilty for, I don't even think he'd know how to commit the crime again. I don't even think he'd be able to retrace the steps in order to maneuver the acrobatic nature with which they charged him with that. It's so convoluted and confusing.
Yeah, I mean, the trial, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, they're alleging that bookkeeping entries made in 2017 were intended to cover up a scheme in 2016. They're alleging it's a circular argument. They're saying one of the possible illegal means that the jury could have decided this case on is the idea that these bookkeeping entries were intended to cover up an unlawful scheme to affect the 2016 election, and the illegal means used to affect the election was these bookkeeping entries that didn't happen until after the election. So just at a basic level, there are like legal impossibility issues with the way that the prosecution ended up presenting its case. It's almost like Russian nesting dolls, you know, those weird things where you have sort of the big doll and then the smaller doll and then the littler doll. And you get down to the bottom and there's just nothing.
Yeah.
And that was one of the most confusing things I know for the trial team with this case. It was like trying to, pin down Jell-O at times with like, what is the prosecution's actual theory here? What are we defending against? And then there's the fact that you had Michael Cohen as sort of the star witness, the only guy who could pull it all together, who happens to be a multi convicted perjurer. He admitted to grand larceny and bank fraud on the stand. Somehow he's never been prosecuted for that. I mean, this whole prosecution, the whole trial just reeks of politics. And I was trained that, prosecutions are never supposed to be political, that politics are never supposed to enter the equation, much less dictate charging decisions and dictate the entire prosecution from the start.
Well, Scharf, final question. You have spent time around and with Donald Trump throughout all of these trials that he's facing right now. Has this guilty verdict affected his resolve to get the job done in November?
No, he is relentless, implacable, unstoppable. I mean, the guy just has boundless energy. It's immensely impressive to me, as I sort of go through campaigning and legal work, and I'm exhausted constantly. It doesn't seem to affect President Trump at all. That really from the day after the trial, it was just on to business. It was on to, getting back to the campaign trail, carrying his message to the American people. You've all seen him at rallies. I mean, what you see is what you get. This is a guy who's deeply committed to the mission that he's on, and none of this campaign of lawfare is going to derail him from that mission. So I'm deeply impressed by President Trump, by his resolve, by his commitment to doing what he needs to do. And I think that's one of the main reasons why he's going to be our next president.
Yeah, well, I've talked to a lot of people after that guilty verdict came down, and it just didn't seem to have the effect that I believe that the Democrats would have hoped that it would. And the fundraising hall, more evidence of that as well. Thanks for being with us today, Will. We always love having you here. Come back soon.
Great to be with you, Annie. Thank you.
Thank you. Will Scharf, former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri, former policy director for Missouri Governor's Office. He's also a candidate for Missouri Attorney General and a Donald Trump attorney. And always great to have him here as a friend of the Annie Fry Show. Let's take a quick break. Joe Biden is speaking with Moms Demand Action at every town for gun safety. You cannot make this stuff up. It's like, I keep thinking, if you were writing a movie, if you were putting together a script, you would be like, no, that would never happen. No communications department would ever allow him to be speaking at this kind of a rally when a guilty verdict for his son who just committed a gun crime would come down. It's kind of the same as like if you were having this trial with Donald Trump, you would never have, what was his name, David Pecker? You would be like, that's too on the nose. We'll move on from there. It's ridiculous. Let's hear what Joe Biden has to say at this event when we come back. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
The Retirement Advisory Group, Thomas Helbig and Bob and Tammy Kershaw, they're there to help you with your retirement transition. That's really the key here because you're saving, you're putting aside everything that you can while you're working your tail off to make sure that retirement looks a certain way for you. And people have different dreams in retirement. Of course, travel is definitely one that people really want to be able to enjoy. Maybe a winter home, want to be a snowbird and visit family, whatever it might be. You want to make sure that you know what's going to happen in retirement. And when you're making that transition, you need the experts at the Retirement Advisory Group to help you make the smart moves at that point in time to protect yourself. That's what they're there for. You can call them at 314-993-9494, 314-993-9494. Set up an appointment with them. It doesn't cost you anything to have this appointment. No obligation when you leave the appointment. It's really nothing to lose. Other than the anxiety, of course, that goes along with hoping that you've done what you need to do for retirement. Schedule your appointment. Let them know that Annie sent you. RetirementKey.com.
If you had a crystal ball, you wouldn't agonize over when to sell your home. You just ask, should I sell while my home's value is sky high? Or wait and hope the bottom doesn't drop out of the housing market? The thing is, I'm not ready to move. You don't need a crystal ball with Truehold's Sell and Stay program. You can literally sell now and stay in your home as long as you like. When you sell your home to Truehold for its best current value, you can fully cash out your home's equity. And you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Truehold pays property taxes, insurance, and maintenance too. Truehold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get an offer now while your home's value is sky high and use the money to secure your retirement, pay off bills, or finance your dreams. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's current best value without moving. That's Truehold.com. Go to Truehold.com now. That's Truehold.com.
Hello, Mike Carter here. I wonder if you knew that after the purchase of the Louisiana Territory in 1804, a formal three-flag ceremony was held in St. Louis to mark the transfer. The Spanish flag lowered and the French tricolor raised. That in turn was lowered the next day and the flag of the young Republic of the United States stood tall.
I'm Mike Carter of Carter Law Offices here, and at that moment, the people living here went from being subjects to being citizens of a great free nation. Jump ahead 220 years to what we have become, and over 6 million men, women, and children now call Missouri home. Our largest cities are an economic powerhouse, and our small towns and family farms remain the heart of the nation. A friend wrote me one time at Carter Law Offices, "Hey, Mike Carter, why don't Missouri residents show their pride by flying our state flag more often like the folks in Texas?" I was like, that's a really great idea. And I was thinking, maybe anybody who's listening to this, if you want to send me an email at mike@carterlegal.com with your name and address if you're okay doing so, and I'll send you a free state flag, and you can hang it out on your front porch and show everybody you're as proud of Missouri as I am.
Summertime is crazy time for families, and nobody can go without hot water. If you're in need of a water heater, all you have to do is send a picture of your water heater to Beast Plumbing for an estimate and same-day replacements. Call 314-500-LEAK and tell them Bo sent you to Beast Plumbing.
Listen to every MLB game live.
In the deep left center field, it is high, it is far, it is gone.
Stream minor league affiliates.
The Midwest League home run leader.
And watch the best baseball highlights and look-ins on MLB Big Inning. MLB At Bat is your all-in-one live baseball subscription for only $3.99 per month.
Deep left field, it's gonna go. Alvarez ties the game.
Subscribe to At Bat within the MLB app today. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Yeah, President Biden is talking gun safety, and our YouTube live chat poll of the day: if you were Joe Biden, would you pardon/commute your son, Hunter? Yes or no? Let us know what you think about this topic. It is 1:50. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The National Memorial of Military Ascent is on a mission to create a first-class Veterans Memorial Complex in Grafton, Illinois. Sue Thomas here. Conservatives Care is honoring our veterans. Learn more at 971talk.com/care.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Such a good show so far. We had Jim Carafano in the first hour, and we were talking about some of the political, I was going to say fallout of what's going on with the EU. There's a conservative movement taking place there, but fallout doesn't seem to be the right word. I'm at a loss for words because I just watched Joe Biden try to get off the stage. He's not off yet. Oh, yep.
He may still be there. They just cut away from him.
He's on delay over there, if you know what I mean. He was speaking at this Moms Demand Action event, and of course, Hunter Biden convicted on the 3 charges involving his possession of a firearm and the government forms that he filled out and was deceitful on, guilty on all those charges. And we listened to some of it, and there wasn't anything remarkable about what we listened to, and I don't need to put you through listening to him just kind of give some formalities at the end of a speech. But we'll go back and we'll see if there's anything worth pulling that we can play in the 2 o'clock hour. But a good juxtaposition, as Ryan was saying in the time check, with the YouTube poll today. Here he's speaking with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense, and his son was convicted of crimes that could carry jail time. They don't necessarily need to, so I don't know that that's a guarantee, but he is also facing tax evasion charges that are supposed to go to court in September, and those were the more damning and more obvious guilt that we were going to watch Hunter Biden have to try to defend himself from. People were thinking that those were a better shot for a guilty verdict necessarily than this one. So if you were his dad and you had the presidential ability to pardon or commute your son, would you do it?
I think I would. I just think at this point, if I'm Joe Biden, and look, we've already been down a long road if I'm Joe Biden that's gotten me to this point. I can't imagine I'd have some sort of scruples that would say, you know what, it just seems wrong to me.
I'm not asking you what Joe Biden would do.
Okay.
It's
so
what would you do?
If I am suddenly in his shoes, I still think I would.
It's your son.
Yeah, it's my son. I still think I would. I wouldn't do it until after November 5th.
Because it's your election.
Because it's my election. But I do think that's what we'll see. I think that's what I would do. I think that's what most people would do in this situation.
Well, that's why I'm doing the poll today, because I'm wondering how people, when you go and anonymously vote in this poll, I'm wondering how many people would say, yeah, I'd pardon them.
It's a surprisingly difficult question because you want to approach this just unbiased. I am a public servant. But at the same time, you have the power to do it, and it's your son, and it's possible that you'd be leaving office or you'd be going into your second term. There's no political consequences. So I can't imagine that I wouldn't. So that's my honest answer.
Brad?
I look at this and I think, this is harder for me to answer because I don't know, because I don't actually have kids, but I am not a big fan of letting my kids off the hook for bad behavior. So I don't think I would pardon my son. But I look at this and I would look at this and I would look at the sentencing. I think he would need to suffer some sort of consequences for the crime that he committed. And I would look at the sentencing. And if he got something like 25 years, then yeah, I'm absolutely commuting the sentence. I'm going to bring it down. If he gets probation or a fine, no, I'm just going to let him wear it. You've got to pay the fine. Even if you got to serve some time in jail, I'm going to let you serve a little time in jail. But I'm not going to let it be like years upon years upon years.
You would let him serve time in jail?
Maybe a year, yeah.
I can't imagine in a situation like this. I mean, what Hunter Biden needs is significant help. Which, how many times has he gone to rehab? How many times has he put himself in a position to receive help? Probably at the most high-profile places that you can do that, and it hasn't stuck yet. I cannot imagine as a parent sitting there letting your child sit in prison. I can't imagine it. It's unimaginable to me. I can't imagine not doing what I could do in that regard to help them out. However, I think that a commutation of a sentence is different than a pardon, of course, because a pardon is pardoning them from the guilt that is associated with it. A commutation of a sentence is saying you're just like time served, basically, I guess. I can very much so see myself saying, this is what you're going to do with your life from now on, and making them commit to a significant amount of rehab that they've never done before, making them be an ambassador for their mistakes, how they got into their mistakes, and to put their service, their time into something that was positive. And if they weren't willing to do that, then I'd say, okay, we'll go sit in jail. But I can't imagine that being the case.
And to Brad's point, he's kind of saying, well, this would be the rehab. He would allow him to sit for a year and kind of go through that.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing that. Well, we could talk about it more. Let us know what you think. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
It's time to plan that outdoor project for this summer, and Chesterfield Fence and Deck is the only company you need to talk to. 636-532-4054 or chesterfieldfence.com. If you call them right now, you mention my name, Mark Cox, you'll get a special discount for the month of June. You'll get 20% off an installed outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. That is a great deal. If you've got their sign in your yard, it's a sign you have the very best. Locally owned and operated for 56 years under the same ownership. A Better Business Bureau Torch Award winner, so you know you're working with a great company. Whether it's an outdoor sunroom, a screen room, a pergola, patios, they can even do retaining walls. And, of course, they do fences and decks, and such a great job. ChesterfieldFence.com or 636-532-4054. Again, ChesterfieldFence.com or 636-532-4054.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AA MCO.
Just imagine being walked all over for 36 years. Who would do that? The great customers of Reinhold Flooring, that's who. For over 3.5 decades, Reinhold Flooring has been the mecca for carpet, hardwood, vinyl, laminate, and area rugs. Reinhold Flooring is customer-driven with a focus on top-quality products and installations from the best team in the business. So come on in and walk all over your next flooring at Reinhold Flooring. Visit them at 5429 Telegraph Road in St. Louis or online at reinholdflooring.com.
Mike Carter here. Too often we lose sight of how fortunate we are to live in Missouri. When I travel out of state on business, people say, Mike Carter, what's so special about Missouri? Well, let's start with the mighty Mississippi and Missouri rivers traversing the state. They were the superhighways of the day used by French fur trappers and traders. Later, American settlers like Daniel Boone and waves of pioneers drove their teams and wagons along the Boone's Lick Trail he blazed. Carter Law Offices right now, founded by me, Mike Carter, started and is on Boone's Lick Trail near where those intrepid settlers crossed the Missouri to harness the land. Rich soils and generations of farm families like my own grandparents made Missouri the breadbasket of America. Drive a few minutes outside our cities and towns, and you'll find yourself passing miles and miles of undulating wheat and corn, farms and ranches that feed our nation. I'm Mike Carter, and I'm proud to live and work in the Show Me State, a place God blessed just a little bit more. Go to MikeCarter.com to see more about our great state of Missouri.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
No one is above the law. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. Those words from Special Prosecutor David Weiss after Hunter Biden's conviction in the case Weiss brought for lying about using illegal drugs when he purchased and owned a firearm.
Everyone must be accountable for their actions, even this defendant. However, Hunter Biden should be no more accountable than any other citizen convicted of this same conduct.
Weiss says the case was about illegal choices, not about addiction. The jury rejecting defense arguments there was no proof of illegal drug use when he bought the gun in 2018.
Fox News producer Jake Gibson met one of the jurors outside the federal courthouse. The 68-year-old man said the case was heart-wrenching, but he did not buy the defense team's argument that Hunter Biden was at 7-Eleven at 5 in the morning to do anything other than buy drugs. This was a juror who owns guns and who has had loved ones who've struggled with addiction.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. President Biden, in a written statement reiterating love and support for his son, he says he'll accept the outcome of the case, also saying he'll continue to respect the judicial process as an appeal is considered. The president just wrapping up a previously scheduled speech on gun safety.
It's time once again to do what I did when I was a senator. Ban assault weapons.
Also saying gun makers shouldn't have immunity. He was interrupted at one point by a pro-Palestinian protester.
Bottom of my heart.
The crowd breaking into a chant of 4 more years, but the president defending the protester.
They care. Innocent children have been lost.
He's now heading to Wilmington, Delaware, where the Hunter Biden trial was held. That's a change in the president's schedule for today. There is no sentencing date for Hunter Biden yet. Hunter Biden facing a separate trial on tax charges in September. America is listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Is your timeshare suffocating you? Are you feeling powerless because you were sold a bad investment that is nothing like you were promised? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. If you're ready to get rid of that timeshare, I'll send you our Timeshare Exit Information Kit free, exposing the timeshare industry scams with all your options for cancellation.
Call 800-653-1188, 800-653-1188, 800-653-1188.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? ROLAIDS.
What about when life spells fried chicken?
ROLAIDS.
Fourth cup of coffee?
Still ROLAIDS.
Extra cheesy pizza?
Rolaids always spells relief. Rolaids' powerful dual-active formula begins neutralizing acid on contact to fight your heartburn fast. So, when life spells heartburn, Rolaids spells relief. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Lots of sunshine, just a beautiful afternoon. Low humidity, comfortable temperatures, 82 for the high. That's a touch below average. We are now getting into the longest days of the year. Some are officially beginning on the 20th. Clear skies tonight, mid to upper 70s for evening plans, 62 for the low. Wednesday sunny and 90. Thursday sunny and up to 95. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a car wreck, you need the best. Let us make your case our cause. Car accident? Call Onder Law for a free review at 314 or 618-900,000.
So STS Armory, my friends Katie and Jesse, they own STS Armory in Pontoon Beach, Illinois. And I was just talking to some friends, and they were talking about how they were thinking about getting a gun for the first time. They had never owned one before, and it's a very overwhelming thing to step into, but it doesn't really have to be that complicated. Not when you have experts like Katie and Jesse and the whole staff at STS Armory. They understand how to navigate the Illinois version of the Second Amendment. Yes, I said what I said. And they can help you get the FOID card that you need to make sure that you're compliant. If you want to carry a weapon, you need to get your conceal and carry license. They teach those classes. If you're a female and you want to do that with other women only, they have female-only classes. And another thing that I really champion about what they do is they will teach young kids and teens firearm safety and education so they understand how to responsibly be around firearms. All of this to say STS Armory is my go-to for anything that has to do with purchasing firearms, accessories, ammunition, or getting those classes. If you're interested, call them at 618-931-GUNS, 618-931-GUNS. Find them online at sts-armory.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-239-1749. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-239-1749. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-239-1749. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-239-1749, 800-239-1749, or biglou.com.
Download the free Upside app and earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Download the free Upside app now and use promo code GIFT for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code GIFT.
We're here to help you get registered to vote, whether you're in Missouri or Illinois. Democracy 2024 on 97.1 FM Talk. If you need help getting registered, go to 971talk.com/vote.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
All right, here's the question for the start of the 2 o'clock hour, and I'm interested to hear people's comments as well. But I'm going to ask you guys both. I have a story to tell. But
I love these.
I'm going to tee this up. Both of you, Ryan, you're going first.
Well, I don't know if I love that.
What is the coolest you've ever been or ever felt? Like, what is the one moment in your life where you were like, I am peak cool right now? Maybe it's relative to your own existence. Maybe it was when you walked up to Jackie.
Well,
as a freshman.
right before she turned me down.
Right then,
It
you were
would've
like,
been then.
I got this. You roll your sleeves up. But you felt in your own being, I am peak cool right now.
Okay, this is a two-parter.
Well, we got till 3.
I was on Mackinac Island,
Okay.
and I was riding my bike with my family.
Age?
22, something like that.
So your family, as in
my
your
my
parents
dad,
and-
my mom, my brother, which is not the coolest thing to do when you're 22. But
22 is when you're feeling irresponsibly peak cool anyway, probably.
exactly. And I, in that moment, I can't say like, oh, I'm feeling so cool, but I was wearing my sunglasses and I had my own flip phone. And
was it a Razor?
We were riding a bike because you can only ride bikes on Mackinac Island. And I had, for whatever reason, I think I had told my family, like, hey, hang on, I got to take a call. So we pulled over.
You had to take a call?
And I had to take a call from my then girlfriend, who eventually was my wife.
Yeah?
And I was like, I got to take a call from this girl. Let me just, okay, I'm on the phone. So I guess while we were doing that, somebody snapped a picture of me, like feeling pretty cool. There's a little bike, like just in the edge of the photograph, and I'm on the phone. It's like beautiful. And I got my
Talking
sunglasses
to your
on.
chick.
Yeah. And I remember that
You're
moment.
a woman.
So then I sent that picture to Katie.
How did you get the picture?
I don't remember.
Was the picture taken on a phone?
It was taken
on a
with
camera.
a regular camera.
Well, when you say to people, when you say to like young kids, mimic what it's like to take a photograph, they don't go.
No, they don't go click, click, click.
Yeah, with their two hands up to the side, pushing the shutter button. They
Right.
just like hold their fake phone up and. Boop.
Yeah, that's it.
But so this is a
photograph that I had a print of.
Yeah.
And somehow either Katie got it or once when I saw her, she took the photograph from me. Here's the cool part, though, that when I visited her next, and she lived 2 hours from me, she lived in Columbia, Missouri. She had that picture next to her bed.
Ooh.
And I was like, right on. That is peak cool.
So did you feel peak cool when you took the picture, or did you feel peak cool when you saw it framed next to her bed?
That's a really tough question, Annie. That's why I said it's a two-parter. Because
Tied for
it's
first?
kind of it's tied for first, the moment, and then seeing the photograph.
How'd she get that photo? Did you just were you just like walking around being like, guys, check this out?
I might have been. I really don't remember how she got it,
Yeah.
but I do remember that she had it.
You still have the picture?
I think it's in a box somewhere, and
You need to ask her.
I asked her recently, like within the last year, like, hey, you still have that picture? Like, I didn't know why I was asking. Like, I'm just curious.
We need the picture.
Yeah, I need to go get that picture. Let me
The
ask
people,
her tonight.
The people need to see it.
I'll ask her tonight, and I'll see if I can get it this week.
We might do a poll that
Was Ryan actually
rates
that
your cool scale on a 1 to 4 star scale, because I only have 4 options.
I'm fine with that because I guarantee that it's going to be a 5.
Okay.
It's a sweet picture. I look pretty good.
What's the worst you've ever felt? Most embarrassed you've ever been?
When I used to also do a comedy newsletter when I was about that same age. And
22 has some highs and lows.
it sure does. In the newsletter, I think I've told this story, that I once sent a love letter to her that was just basically like just talking about our relationship. It wasn't like a love letter, like home from war kind of thing. But it was a
TV production.
Genuine email of talking to her about where we stand and all this stuff. I accidentally sent it out to the entire comedy newsletter.
How many people?
About 200.
What kind of responses did you get?
I only got a handful of responses. I think most people just either ignored it or they signed up for the newsletter and weren't actually reading it, or they were trying to be nice. I did get one from my friend that said, hey, just wanted to let you know that I was here when you fell.
Did you viscerally feel a gut punch the second you realized that you sent it out to everybody?
It was cold sweats. I'm getting hot right now thinking about it, although it is kind of hot in here, so I'm just going to blame the studio.
Somebody does that here at Odyssey and sends it out to the St. Louis mail list. What's your first reaction?
Total recall to that moment.
Yeah.
Ryan's like fetal position on the floor of my office.
Are you saying
my
something to
thumb.
them?
What I'm doing is I'm praying that
If
wasn't
it's Carl
real.
Middleman.
Okay. If it's Carl, yeah, I'm going to talk to Carl.
Are you going to say, Carl, dude, what were you thinking?
I'm going to say, Carl, I've been there, but I'm also laughing at you, so just get over it.
You're amused when it's not you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brad, the coolest you've ever felt.
Man. I don't have many of those moments in my life. So the one time that I would say I think I felt the coolest was we were riding the Boss roller coaster at Six Flags. And
I like where this is going.
I was toward the back of the roller coaster, and we went down one of the faster hills, and as we're going down one of the faster hills, I see this hat come off this person's head, and it goes flying, and I snatch it out of the air, and I stuck it underneath, and it was like the first or second drop on the roller coaster, and I stuck it underneath my lap belt. I didn't get a real good look at it when I did, and I put it underneath the thing so it would stay there, and I held on to it, finished the ride, and I got off, and there was this young man. He was probably, well, I know, in fact, he was in the summer of his 8th grade year.
You were going to say a really pretty lady.
No,
who's now Mrs. Range.
Not as cool as that.
This guy was super hot, though.
Oh, come on, guys.
It was this guy.
I told you
and
these
he
cool
was on
things
his
don't
phone
happen very
standing next
often.
to a bicycle. And I was like, I'm next to that cool.
So
somebody took a picture of me standing there holding this hat that wasn't mine.
He was about Charlie's age, summer of his 8th grade year.
Yeah.
And he just looked sad. And as I was looking at the hat, it's an O'Fallon high school O'Fallon baseball hat. And I'm like, oh, well, that's O'Fallon. That's my town.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, is this your hat? And he's like,
yeah,
you found it. I was like, yeah, it came like, and so I gave it to him. And then that's that fall, I was at school subbing, and I'm walking down the hallway of the high school. And
How old are you? I forgot to ask you.
Oh, me? I'm probably 36, 37 years old.
This is not long ago.
Fresh.
No, yeah, this is pretty fresh. And I'm walking down the hallway, and this kid points out in the hallway. He's like, "That's the dude that caught my hat on the roller coaster."
On him.
So I guess he told
that moment is the cool moment.
Yeah, that
right?
moment was the cool
Because up
part.
until now, then I'm thinking, this is like a Brad charity story.
Yeah, and then I became the cool substitute teacher after that. So
Yeah, that's cool. What do you have an embarrassing moment you want to share?
Oh, off the top of my head. Can you give me a few minutes to think about that?
You don't have to.
Do you have a comedy newsletter?
No, I don't have a comedy newsletter, and I've done lots of embarrassing things.
Do you know what the coolest I've ever felt is?
Would it be on the basketball court, maybe?
Oh, God, no.
No?
More cool than flying with the Blue Angels?
Well, that was so recent. I just didn't know.
I know. That's why we're talking about it. I went and flew with the Blue Angels. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen could happen for a long time. I only knew that it was definitely going to happen for like a week. Found out that it was going to happen, and any type of nervousness that crept in, I was like, squash, no, keep those emotions where they belong, away. And I fly. It's amazing. I'm so out of my league doing all of this. But the amount of reach that this show has had, that our YouTube video has had, is blowing my mind. The people who are reaching out and talking about watching the video, if you haven't seen it yet, it's a 42-minute walk, basically full documentary on what it was like for me to ride. You get to go in the cockpit with me. You guys have both said, and you were in the industry.
Not that industry, but
high quality. No,
the
production.
video industry.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's quality production.
It's super solid. It's 4K.
Yes.
You really can't get a lot better than that right now.
I'm feeling, in some sense, literally on top of the world. And just as the reason why the highs never get too high and the lows can never get too low, the universe to me always balances itself out. So people are, when I'm going to church, people are lining up to talk to me about the experience. If I go to my kid's baseball game, everywhere I go, and I love it. I love talking about it. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad that they watch it. And they're just it's the cool thing is that people have been so genuinely happy and like proud of me for doing it. So last night, my son has a 6 p.m. baseball game, and then we had to bolt out of that because that was in Collinsville. And then he had an 8 p.m. baseball game at Jackie Joyner Kersey out at East St. Louis. And we are bolting. I had 9 minutes to get from one to the other, and I think when he showed up, he was their 8th player. So we had to hurry up and get there. And I got my nephew with me, and we go to sit down. I'm kind of frazzled. I'm on the phone, and my husband's trying to figure out, we were trying to coordinate dinner, and between Collinsville and East St. Louis, there wasn't a ton of stuff for us to stop and get whatever. So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to make sure Charlie's in the dugout and has everything he needs. And I'm on the phone. I had gone to sit at the top level of these bleachers, and these bleachers they're 3 rows up. And they're not high. They seemed like they were actually shorter than traditional bleacher distance would be. And I'm on the phone, and I step up to go down the bleachers to see where Jared is because he had just pulled into the parking lot. And I barrel rolled.
Oh, no.
Fell down the bleachers. Fell down and rolled into the It was like, you know how you talked about that one time about the worst thing that you could do, get on the highway behind if you were in a hurry, and you said 2 guys carrying a plate of glass. It was like they were there, boom, I crashed through them. There were pots and pans, and they were clanking all over the place in front of Char. Like, he's playing on a high school team. I can feel my face getting hot because I'm embarrassed about it right now. He's not playing with his high school team. There's nobody there but like 12 people.
I'm picturing this, but I'm also picturing you like when you're starting the roll, just going, oh, don't.
It's as bad. I am not a faller. Have you guys like ever seen me? I mean, I'm not klutzy.
Mm-mm.
I'm athletic. I don't do those things. Like, I can't. It was the most ridiculous. I like fell and rolled into old people. And it's like, here's Charlie's mom.
She just flew with the Blue Angels.
And I'm like, God, I hope nobody knows what I do for a living and what I did last week. Because they're gonna be like, you did 7.5 G's and you can't do bleachers.
Yeah, she's a professional communicator. Really good at brand management.
So I had a big fat battery pack for my phone in my pocket, which I landed square in my hip. So I'm going to have the biggest, ugliest rectangle bruise on my hip. It hurts to even sit in this chair. I don't think that I broke my wrist.
Oh.
But I will show you something right here. Can you see that little lump on my wrist? Right here?
Yeah.
That's not supposed to be there.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I think that's kind of swollen because I caught myself and I cracked my phone screen.
Oh, this was a fall.
It was, I hurt myself. Like, the reason why
this wasn't just like
no. There were anvils, there were sirens,
TNT,
and everyone's like, "Whoa!" And I look at my watch, and my watch, God's honest truth, it said, "Well done."
Really?
Yes, I think it was happy I stood up.
It knew?
Yeah, I don't think it knew. I think it falsely assumed.
Wow.
What do you do? Like, here I am feeling peak cool, and now I'm like, nope, that wasn't me. That was just a taste.
I am just picturing you going through all of this, and you're laying like face down in somebody's nachos.
I was laying on my back, and I was like, I guess I'm at the age where after you fall, you have to inventory.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't like just embarrassment.
Yeah, you're 40 now.
No. I was like holding my wrist because I'm pretty sure I sprained my wrist pretty bad. It's very lumpy right here. I don't know. If my wrist was broken, would I be able to do this with it? I don't think so.
Not without pain.
I mean, it's sore.
Like a lot of pain.
I've sprained my ankle enough to know what that feels like. I feel like this is a sprain. But I broke my. I need my phone to not have a broken screen. What do you do for a broken screen on a phone anymore?
I don't know. I've never fallen like that.
I don't care about the fall. I want to know about my phone screen. I was willing to tell this whole story to get advice.
Well, then other people who have maybe not been as graceful could also answer that question. I would love that if in that moment, like when you're inventory, you're sitting there because there's a second there where you're going, what am I going to do after that moment?
How do you stick the landing, so to speak?
Yeah, that I don't know why it just keeps cracking me up. Not only thinking about the fall, which is really funny, but also thinking
it was so dramatic.
Like in the moment where the dust is finally cleared, hearing just a woman go, "Ugh, how ungraceful."
I go, someone's like, "Oh my gosh, you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think I'm okay." My watch said, "Well done." I said that out loud. And then, I was talking. This was like when we showed up. Then I had to watch a whole baseball game.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's rough.
They were all very kind.
That's rough.
But at the end, we were leaving. We were walking out, and I was walking with Charlie and my nephew and some of the other players. And the funny thing is that I'm telling on my son now, he was running to first base in his first game, and he tripped over the base, which I do have on video. And he came back in, he goes, I got sniped. And I said, you didn't get sniped, you tripped. He goes, that's what that means, Mom. And I was like, okay. So we're walking out, and I'm like, Charlie, I got sniped. And these other two baseball players are like, yeah, I saw that.
Did he see it?
I don't think he saw it.
Oh, that's a shame.
And I told him, I was like, in the car on the way, I'm like, did anybody say anything to you? I'm really sorry if I'm embarrassed you. He goes, no, not really. So, but then again, they only had 8 players. They had to go out and play, so they probably couldn't converse about it.
It's always a bigger deal to the person who's embarrassed, for sure. But everybody thinks, oh, man, I've been in that moment.
I was going to say, like, I probably should have had more embarrassment, but it's like I've seen people fall before. I just tripped. I mean, I think that I'm okay. It's not, if I could go back and undo it, I'd undo it.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to know how to fix my phone screen.
What's the best reaction from the people around you? Like, what would make you feel the best? If they just go, and they just go on, or if somebody actually physically stands up and goes, you fell. You know, like what would alleviate the situation in that moment?
You want people to acknowledge that you fell.
Okay.
You can't not acknowledge it. It's the elephant in the room.
I mean, this is a public service announcement. We've all been in this situation.
You have to.
How do you address it?
You have to acknowledge it. And, you know, like I was laying down there thinking for a second, is my wrist okay? And I remember, like, it felt like I fell for about 10 minutes. Like I fell and just decided to fall more.
Down the
Is there
stairway
more
to
gravity
heaven.
around here somewhere that I can use? But it's like, okay, I'm going to be sitting here. There was no other place for me to go. There was hardly anybody at this game to begin with. And I just thought to myself, well, let's make it funny. Because if everybody around you feels like...
Let's make it funny like you got up and you go, I get no respect.
No, I didn't do Rodney Dangerfield. I just felt like if people feel like I'm not uncomfortable, you're going to get secondhand embarrassment naturally. And I'm pretty sure they all had it. And so I thought, well, I'll just own it. And then they won't have to secondhand use it. And I'm just like, well, I'm good. I think I'm fine.
Ways for you to make that funny. Like you standing back up and like pulling at your collar a little bit and being like, watch out for that first step.
No, I don't mean funny Ryan Wiggins funny.
That's what I would do.
Will you please message me on the Annie Fry Show Facebook page and tell me the best place? I have a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, I think is what I have.
I don't know the Ultra.
Or maybe it's a 23. I don't even know. Ooh, is it a 23 or is it a 24? I think it's a 23. That might become cheaper. I know that I'm going to have to fix it. I want to fix it as it's an S23 Ultra. There you go.
Dang it.
It's going to cost me a lot of money. I understand that, but I want to get it fixed as soon as possible because it just appears to be the screen that's cracked, or the glass that's cracked. The screen doesn't seem to be compromised. And if the screen is, or if the glass is broken, then you could compromise the function of the phone a lot quicker. And I don't want to deal with that. And I want to get it fixed as soon as I can. And I'm interested in people who know people who do this stuff. And I will go patronize that place. Give me good recommendations. So you can comment on the YouTube channel, or if you want to reach out to me directly, go to the Annie Fry Show Facebook page and send me a DM. I need to get this phone fixed. And here's the biggest reason. Every time I look at my phone, I'm like, I fell in front of a bunch of people. Every time. I'm like, gosh, that's embarrassing. Oh, and my hip hurts. Oh, and my wrist hurts. I have to fix the phone.
Yeah, you do. Just so you can move on psychologically. Because right now you're crippled.
Yeah. I don't think you can say that.
Oh, sorry. You're emotionally disturbed?
Yes. I feel a lot better now. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That was a contribution to my mental state. Well, that's the coolest and the least cool I have felt. And it happened in a matter of a week's time. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
I don't mind being in jail, but I gotta stay there so long. I don't
that Point Pest Control can fix my phone, but they did fix my spider problem, and for that, I am eternally grateful. I am a paying subscriber of their premier service plan, and I encourage you to reach out to Point Pest Control to sign up for this quarterly service as well to make sure that your home stays bug and pest free. Also, termites, they may have set in your home, in your garage, in your place of business. You need to get rid of them yesterday. Point Pest Control can help you with that. They're proud to be an authorized Centricon termite system company, and termites can cause $5 billion in damage to homes and businesses in the United States every year. Make sure your home isn't one of them. It's affordable to work with Point Pest Control, and it works. They did for me, and they will for you as well. Whether it is ants, spiders, crickets, mice, or anything else that you might have around your house that's a pest that you need to get rid of, reach out to the very best. Point Pest Control. Point is spelled with an E. PointPestControl.com. You can call them at 636-798-0023. And a reminder, when you call them, do not forget to mention my name, Annie Fry, because you're going to get an extra 10% off top of any discount that they have going at that current moment. 636-798-0023. PointPestControl.com.
Our lives aren't like they used to be. They're busier. Early morning Zooms, grabbing coffee to make that in-office meeting, getting to your kid's soccer game on time. Life is different, and so is advertising. To reach any audience, you need your message out there in all media, broadcast to streaming, on screens, and right to the ears of your customers. And that's what we do at Odyssey. Let's build a media campaign that targets the customers you know and want to reach more of, right here in our community. Advertise with Odyssey. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
Mortgage rates have finally dropped. That's right. Golden Oak has 5.375% fixed rates available right now. Our average cash-out customer saves over $1,000 a month. Call today and take advantage of our 5.375 fixed rate. Call 314-567-GOLD. That's 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing cured my blues.
5.934 APR. FHA 15-year 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun. Always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules.
I listen to 97.1 on the Odyssey app.
Download it. It's easy.
Yeah, it's super easy.
To listen to 97.1 FM Talk, no matter where you are. Your home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. I wish this song had been playing when I fell. I just gotten up and just started dancing.
Like it was all part of the act.
Excuse me, I was just part of the dance.
I kind of wish it was In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins, and it just hit
Dun-dun,
right.
dun-dun, dun-dun. That's exactly what it sounded like. On the bleachers, there were only 3 bleachers that I could have fallen down, but it sounded like there were 15.
You were on the top one?
Yeah, the 3rd bleacher. I mean,
Ooh.
it's like this high. It's like 3 feet off the ground.
Were you standing on the top one?
I stood up to go down the bleachers, and I did.
Okay.
Go down the bleachers. If you missed it, I told the story of my embarrassing fall yesterday. I fell over like a cartoon, and it was ridiculous, and I hurt myself, but I also broke my phone screen, and I am very upset about it, mostly because, as I said going into the break, every time I look at my phone, I'm reminded of when I publicly fell. Then we go to the break, and you boys both go, you reminded me of my most embarrassing
as soon as you
moment.
started telling your story.
So
it
tell me
triggered
about it.
So I was on a first date with a girl, and we were going to the movies, and this wasn't just like I was on a first date. Like, this was my first date.
Okay.
So I'm doing that. I'm super nervous because I'm looking at this girl, and I'm thinking, man, she's way out of my league. I don't want to do anything stupid or anything like that. And so we're going to go see a movie, the old dinner and movie, safe but solid. So she's like, I want to sit up at the top. Cool. So we're going up this top of this the
restaurant. Was it medieval
no,
times?
No. It was not medieval times. We're at the movie theater. So we're going up the stairs, and I'm following her, and she's going pretty fast, and I'm still chonky Brad at that time. And
chonky Brad.
So I'm having a little trouble keeping.
What do you mean by that?
Chonky. I was a chonky boy.
Brad.
I was pushing 3. I wasn't quite 300 pounds yet, but I was pushing up there. So I was like kind of trying to catch my breath, and I wasn't really paying attention because I don't remember exactly what the preview that was on because we'd gotten there a little late. So I was kind of looking over my shoulder trying to catch the preview. And I did the Joe Biden miss the step thing that he did up Air Force One. And I did it. I was like, whoa, missed the step. And as I slipped, I was looking, and she wasn't looking. She didn't see me. So I was like, I'm doing good. Just hurry up and catch your step. So I did the whenever you miss a step, but you catch yourself.
Exactly what Joe Biden did.
And you're trying to catch the next one. Except I caught the next step, and I didn't see the guard railing that was right in the middle of the steps, and I centered myself on that guard railing.
Forward.
Boom. It rings out, and I fall backwards.
Wait. What made it ring?
Me hitting it.
Picturing like.
No. Not ding. Bong. The whole thing shaking because a 300-pound
like
high schooler ran into it
together.
at high speed. Well, of course, that makes everybody look, and it knocks me backwards because that had more power. So when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, the immovable object won. I went backwards down probably 2 flights on my back as everybody's looking at me, and I'm laying on my back, feet uphill, head downhill. People are like the laughing, "Are you okay?" Because when a fat guy falls, it's always funny.
My gosh, this is a great story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I brought that up.
Yeah,
okay.
Like this, like when she's like, and I fell down the bleachers, my heart went because it
reminded you.
It jumped back into my memory. I was like, oh man.
What did she do?
She kind of laughed. Then she helped me up.
What did you do?
I laughed. Because that's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
You just laugh.
And I know that I'm laughing a lot, but I literally just did this last night in public.
I feel so bad when I see somebody do that. Not at the fall. It's when they get up and they do something like, ta-da! I'm like, oh, no, you don't have to, man.
What are you supposed to do?
I don't know. Just be like,
I got up and I just kind of brushed myself off and was like, well, I think I'm good. That's pretty much it. And then I had to go sit back on the bleachers that offended me.
Well, what did you want people to do in that moment?
At that point,
Vanish.
I was like, because when after you have time to process what just happened, the story is as funny to me as it was to you guys when I just told you, because you can't write that stuff. You go on a first date, the fat guy falls up the stairs, then down the stairs, and everybody sees it, and it's just funny because it's what you would see in a movie.
Were you hurt?
I was okay. I had plenty of
chunky
Brad, plenty of cushion.
Just spread out.
I can definitely say I'd rather fall as a big guy than a little guy.
And so then you stayed for the movie?
Stayed for the movie. We laughed about it.
Top of the stairs?
Yep, went right back up there, sat down. We were laughing. Didn't spill any soda or anything like that, thank goodness.
Did you talk about it with her at all?
Oh, for sure.
You have to. You can't avoid it.
What did she say?
Oh, well, it was very much like, "Are you okay?" And then whenever she understood she was okay, she was kind of like Annie is right now, laughing, and then I was laughing because it was funny, and you can't
Did you
write
go
it.
on a second date?
Yeah, we ended up dating for a while.
There
it
you
didn't
go.
ruin it.
That's a good story.
All right, good.
Ryan?
This happened recently, and it was embarrassing enough that I thought when it happened after I was done, should I tell that on the show? Because it's good material, but I was actually so embarrassed that I thought, you know what, I need to wait a little bit.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't think I've told this story. It happened about a year and a half ago. It was last January, so January of 23. My kids wanted to go to, they played Upward Sports, and they wanted to go to like the year-end thing that they do where all the kids show up and the parents show up, and they do kind of a sports competition for mostly the kids. But then at some point they go, okay, now the parents have to get involved. And a good portion of the parents just are like, no.
Why? Like,
I'm not going to.
Why would they make that wise decision?
Yeah, and I did at first too, but then the guy's, he's walking around the gym with the microphone. He's like, no, you can't sit this one out. Even if you do terrible, it's no big deal. So he's kind of like rounding you up. And like anybody who wasn't, like sitting down and like not able to walk, he was pretty much going to force them to get up. So I'm like, all right. So I get up and I get in. He's like, we're playing dodgeball. I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't good. But then I've told you before, Annie, I have a very, very competitive streak.
Yeah, we know.
And I didn't want to play, but then once I'm there, I'm like, well, now I have to win. So
against the other parents?
Against all the other parents. And I think there might have been like 2 games where one, it was parents versus kids, and then that was just fun. But then the parents did parents versus parents.
And you're playing dodgeball?
And it's dodgeball in a gym, and I'm 41, I guess. And I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be something I haven't done in quite a while. So I kind of strategized, like overthought it, and was like standing in a certain spot where I'm like, well, if I stand right here, I can catch a ball easy and I can see them coming. So I'll last a long time if I stay right here. Right? So I did. And I did pretty well to the point where most people within 2 minutes
It's like Adam Sandler in Billy Madison where he's...
It was actually surprisingly similar to that.
Mowing kids down.
Now you're all in big trouble.
So I'm one of the last probably 10 people left. And at that point, you have to start, you can't just kind of play defense. You have to start playing the game. And so otherwise it's just everybody's just stand there. So everybody's okay, kind of getting involved. And then you feel bad because you're like, well, I need to get people out on the other team and I need to win. Like that's pretty much a given.
Yeah, otherwise, what would people think of you?
Exactly. And so I'm like, well, I think I could pick off that lady there and that lady.
How many people are watching this?
I think I could get that lady and that lady.
At this point, most of the gym is watching this.
Give me a
there's
number.
there's, let's see, 300 people watching this.
At least mine was in East St. Louis in front of 7.
Most of them. Yeah, exactly. If you're going to do it, you got to have an audience. And so there's all these kids and everybody's real into it because it's like the very end of the night. And it gets to the point where me and one other person are the only people left on our team.
This is the moment you've lived for.
Yeah, exactly. And there's only maybe 2 or 3 on the other team. So it's like, oh my gosh, we're getting down really close here. And the other person on my team, I think, was a lady who was very athletic, but I was kind of taking the lead because I felt like I should.
Because you're a man and she's a woman and she's weaker than you.
It's exactly. And so I did.
It's just like yesterday when you're like, girls do things like ballet.
Yeah, ballet and
gymnastics.
Cooking and stuff. So I take the lead and it gets to the point where they have to like erase the lines.
Mhm.
So it's no more on your side or their side. It's just a free for all. Otherwise, it would take forever. So I'm like, all right. So I get a ball, and I can see the other team has none. So I'm like, all right, I'm going on offense. So I'm like running up to these people, and I'm sweating. This has been going on for like 5 minutes.
And you're
I'm
sweating?
sweating, and I'm just out of breath. Everybody is. And so I'm running up, and I'm like, the crowd's going crazy because it's like I'm about to win this game finally. And I like wind up, and I'm right on this guy. And I tripped over my own foot, and I fell face first into the gym floor and dropped the ball.
And then he hit
And
you.
I was like, oh. And he picks the ball up and basically just drops it on me. And I'm like, oh no.
Your hopes were
How
dashed.
do I recover from this? This is terrible. So I don't know what to do because the whole gym's like screaming. And the kids especially are going nuts,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm like, well, okay. So I just stand up and
Said ta-da? Kind
of. I mean, you almost are obligated
Yeah.
to do it. And I stood up and I'm like,
Were your kids there? Did they see you?
yeah, they did.
What'd they think?
They've never forgot it. It was a moment where I think they were going to be real proud of me and then weren't.
Oh, no.
So I've lost them.
I think.
So I think I just need to have new kids.
I think just swap. I think that you probably put more emphasis on their concern with you winning, other than just dad being out there and cool. Did they think it was funny? Did they have secondhand embarrassment for you?
Here's how I knew it was bad. My oldest son, Sinjin, is such a nice kid. He's super competitive.
Yeah.
But he's a nice kid. And he goes, "Oh, Dad, it's okay. Nobody really saw it."
False.
False.
Except for those 300 people.
Yeah.
And that guy who dropped the ball on your head to get you out of the
Dude,
game.
that guy, I don't want to remember his face. I don't want to know his name. I hope that he doesn't remember mine. I hope he didn't just hear this story.
He will never forget you.
No, there are people listening to this show right now who saw that.
It was in Troy, Illinois.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm going to pick up my phone, and in the break, I wouldn't be surprised if some of them have texted me. I know those people.
I don't want to hear about it.
If you have recommendations on where I can replace the glass on my Samsung Galaxy 23 Ultra, which is new, I was looking up the wrong phone last night, please tell me. Go to the Annie Fry Show Facebook page and send me a DM or comment on the YouTube channel. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Fry Show.
If you have rental properties, I've said it before, if you have one or if you have 100, you need friends. Don't try to do all the work yourself. You're going to drive yourself crazy. Hey, I mean, after you try to do the work yourself, you'll realize you need friends like Rapid Rental Renovations. They'll come in and do all the stuff either that you can't do on your vacant property, or you could just call them from the get-go and get a great bid on everything that you need, from little stuff to big stuff, whether it be just replacing the blinds and cleaning up some little nicks in the walls and stuff like that, or carpet, flooring, repaint the cabinets. I mean, all of it can be done. And here's the key. It can be done at a really good price because they know your business. They know that you're in rentals and that you're there to make money. And they can do it really fast and get it back on the market. That's the key. Rapid Rental Renovations are good at doing all of these things. They started by just doing cleanout services. That's why their website is Murphy Cleanout Services, but now they can do it all. Visit them now if you're in that place where you have a vacant property, you need to get it back on the market, or store their number for when you do, because you know that you will. Go and see them at murphycleanoutservices.com.
If you have a problem with the IRS, believe me, it's not going away on its own. The IRS never gives up. They have endless resources, so they control the game. Well, your tax problems can end. I'm attorney Lance Drury with the Drury Law Firm, a local tax resolution firm with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. I've handled thousands of IRS cases over the last 15 years. So when you hire me, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some TV pitchman that's riddled with consumer complaints. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it will cost. So call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com. If you have IRS issues, you need a local attorney, you need me, Lance Drury.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
All right, this has nothing to do with air conditioning. I know, like I make commercials about goofy stuff like cicadas or anything. But you know what I mean. But everybody's supposed to go to the dentist at certain intervals, like 6 months or at least once a year. But we don't. And the reason we don't is when you go there, it hurts. I have a very, very good tip for you. Yenzer Family Dental, Yenzer, Yenzer, Family Dental. It might be a drive. I go there. If he's taking clients, I'm in their book. Full disclosure, he is a brother-in-law, but it's 10 years of an anniversary of 10 years of his private practice and all state-of-the-art stuff. And it is painless. If I say it's painless, pretty painless. Yenzer Family Dental.
I can see clearly now thanks to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and introducing Samuel Berry. You can too. Call 314-966-5000 or check out youridoc.com. That's youridoc.com.
Mark Cox here. Did you know the Rockwood School District is a great place to work? They're currently hiring school bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and custodial staff, as well as summer positions for mowers and landscapers. They have openings in Adventure Club, which is before and after school care. They offer competitive pay, flexible work hours, and a rewarding work environment. Discover the Rockwood Advantage and join an amazing team. Go to rsdmo.org/jobs. That's rsdmo.org/jobs.
YouTube live chat poll of the day. If you were Joe Biden, would you pardon/commute your son Hunter? That is what we're discussing. We've talked about it. We want to know what you think. Type in Annie Fry on YouTube. You'll see the live chat poll come up, and you can answer yes or no. 250. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here because you clearly have a refined palate. St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
You can run on for a long time, run on for a long time, run on for a long time. Sooner or later, gotta cut you
This
down.
is the Annie Fry Show.
Sooner or later, gotta cut you down.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry
Tell
Show.
that long-tongued liar, go and tell that midnight rider, tell the rambler, the gambler, the backbiter, tell him that God's gonna cut him down, tell him that God's gonna cut him down. Well, my goodness gracious.
Welcome
let
back
me
to the
tell
Annie
you
Fry
the
Show. I wanted to, there's this one post that I saw on Twitter and I thought it was interesting. I'm going to read it to you guys. Trump supporters far more likely than Biden supporters to say society should prioritize marriage and having children. The percentage of voters who say society is better off if people make marriage and having children a priority, 59% of Trump supporters, 59% of Trump supporters that are registered voters say society is better off if people make marriage and having children priority. Guess the percentage of Biden supporters.
30?
I bet it's like 25.
19.
Ooh.
Isn't that wild?
That says a lot.
Wow.
Says a lot about your values.
63% of men who are Trump supporters say that prioritization is good. 22% of men that are Biden supporters think it's a priority. Women, 54% of female Trump supporters think that society is better off if people make marriage and having children a priority. 16% of female Biden supporters.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
It surprises me that the 59% who would vote for Trump or vote conservative, that's not higher. Like that's not even. I mean, that's not even 60%, which means there's 40-some% of people who don't believe that who are voting Trump.
You know, there's a whole contingent of people right now who are being raised to believe that the world is literally going to end in years' time. And they say that it's irresponsible to bring children into this world.
Yeah, that would be a natural outcome of the ideology.
These people, are they really thinking of the long game here on the possibility that they're wrong?
I don't think so. It's like a religious dogma, some of that stuff. You don't think that you can be wrong.
And even like the idea that society should prioritize marriage and children as a priority. It doesn't necessarily mean exactly for yourself. Like you could know, you know what, that's really just not for me, but I do need people to do that. But a lot of what we regularly see from the left is disgust at people, especially from the left, disgust at women who choose to prioritize family and children, marriage and children. It's sad, but the person who tweeted it said, "I love it when a problem is on track to work itself out." I don't know if that's.
I've heard the stat, and this is probably 5-6 years ago now, that conservatives have more kids. Now that doesn't mean that the kids become conservatives, but it does lead to the same thing.
When it comes to white Trump supporters, 60% believe in prioritizing marriage and children. When it comes to white Biden supporters, 17%. That's such a huge difference in worldview. And, you know, you got to think to yourself, too, like how you see the world if you've prioritized getting married and then maybe in addition to that, having children. When you think about policy and how things should be handled and problems should be assessed and corrected, don't you inherently have a dramatically different viewpoint? Certainly if you have kids, but if the family is the central unit to your priority, I mean, I don't know that you couldn't.
When we were having kids, or we were thinking about it, we were asking all the questions that everybody asks. Oh, can we financially do this and all that? And somebody told me very wise advice. They said, you're always going to find an excuse not to. But if you're ready to do it, you need to do it. You're always going to find a reason. You're never going to come
into a windfall of money that's like, I think I can afford to have kids now.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy to me. I just found that to be very interesting. Real quick predictions. Well, you said if you were Joe Biden, would you pardon, commute, or offer clemency to Hunter Biden, yes or no?
I said yes.
Brad
Yeah,
said,
it ended up being, it was a commute. I wouldn't pardon.
Well, we didn't ask we didn't ask
So
for a
it ended up
definitive.
being a yes.
You're a yes too? I am a yes. How do you feel? What's your prediction on, we've got 225 votes right now.
I'm going to say the majority of people said no.
Strong majority? Close?
No, I think it's close.
I'd say 51-49.
Did you look?
No.
It's 51-49.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And which side?
No.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And we got 40 seconds left in case anybody wants to tie it back up again. 51% of our listening, participating, voting audience of 225 people. So it's not a small amount of people.
Yeah.
I mean, there are actual polls that get quoted that have less than 225 people in them sometimes, which is another reason they're ridiculous. Hardly scientific, but truly anecdotal. I am very surprised that it's this close.
Me too. That's a tougher question than it seems, though.
Yeah, because if you're thinking, you're not what would Joe Biden do? What would you do? And it's just hard to think to myself that I wouldn't do something for my kid.
Yeah.
But then again, my kids aren't Hunter Biden.
A little different situation.
Mark Reardon, up next.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 500 and get 15% off your first purchase with code 500, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 500 for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 500 to save 15% today.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility in this election year? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot